but
So.
I'm amazed nobody's really done a Smurf versus. It seems like such a natural idea.
It
So,
seems to me they would be natural
yeah,
enemies, right?
yeah.
Okay, I think we're live. We're streaming. Hello, everybody. My name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. Today is July 24th. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm here today with special guest in Soma. So,
Hello, everyone.
so he'll be chiming in time to time here.
Yeah, no, just consider me Andy Richter to Hawanja's Conan O'Brien. So
So,
I might say some stuff every once in a while, but for the most part, I'll pretty much just sit here and enjoy.
so, yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it, folks.
But what wonderful topics are you going to talk about today?
Anti-vaxxers.
Oh no!
Again. And, so last week we did a whole stream on anti-vaxxers and stuff like that. I think it's important. I think it's important because these are people who are not just, basically preventing our country from going about its daily, usual business. They're actually getting people killed, like. So that's why I'm a little, angry, I guess. Are we actually streaming here? I'm not seeing anything like in the stream settings. Hang on a second. Let me just verify that we're actually streaming because,
Yeah.
Okay, says we're live. That's kind of weird. YouTube streaming. All right, I guess we're live. Anyway, sorry folks. The YouTube stream thing back here doesn't seem to be updating. But anyway, looks like we actually are streaming.
Yeah.
So yeah, it pisses me off. It pisses me off to see, these people that through their ignorance are, getting other people killed. Number one, that's the first thing. You know what I mean? So it's like you have somebody out there who's doing everything the right way, who throughout all of last year followed all the rules, wore a mask, socially distanced, all that stuff, and didn't go outside to, hang out with his friends and stayed away from his vulnerable family members and all that, in the interest of not only protecting their health but everybody else's. And then you have all these random assholes who just refuse and kind of just say screw the rules, and because of them, everybody else's lives are being affected. So they're not only preventing the country from opening up, preventing people from getting jobs, preventing the economy from moving forward, right? People, stopping people from getting jobs so they don't get evicted from their houses, stuff like that, so they can pay their bills. Not only are they preventing all that from happening, but they're, through their inaction is actually getting people killed. And that's what we're seeing right now with the Delta variant, And the thing is, the Delta variant is not the only variant. There's other ones too. So it's not going to just stop with that one, even though this just seems to be the one that's the most prolific right now. By the way, folks, if you're hearing fans and air conditionings and stuff like that in the background, please forgive me. It's, the middle of July here in Southern California, so it gets a little hot. So it's either we bake ourselves to death or we turn on the air conditioning. So
Thank you for nothing, global warming.
I know, what the fuck. But yeah, it's that's why I think it's important. That's why I think that this is something that we really need to spread the word on, right? Because there really isn't much that as an individual you or me can do to change this. We really can't force anybody to do anything, but what we can do is spread awareness. Spread awareness, and who knows, maybe you'll end up changing one person's mind, and maybe that might end up saving somebody else's life. You know what I mean? So that's why I think this shit's important. Anyway, first thing that I wanted to bring up here, let's see. Have you seen this thing about the governor of Alabama? This was in the news the other day, where the governor of Alabama basically came out and said we need to start blaming any people who aren't vaccinated. Like, it was pretty amazing stuff. I've got a video here. Let me just go ahead and open this guy up, and hopefully there will not be
This is a full 3
okay,
months
there's an
of
ad.
food.
We're gonna have to wait for the ad to pass. Let me just turn off this. 3, 2, 1. Skip the ad. Okay. And let me go ahead and make this full. Oh well, hang on. I gotta X. Nope, stop. I guess I should queue all this stuff up before I like actually start playing, right? Let's move this over here. So this is the governor of Alabama.
Be careful, it's on mute, the little speaker on the video itself.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's because there was a commercial I wanted to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, this is the governor of Alabama. Does this have subtitles? Let me turn on the subtitles. Nope, no subtitles. Anyway, well, you can't really hear it, but she basically gets up and says, like, it's time to start blaming the people who aren't getting vaccinated for what's going on. Let's just make this, let's unmute that, make that full screen, and this is only 56 seconds long, so we can play this.
The new cases in COVID are because of unvaccinated folks. Almost 100% of the new hospitalizations are with unvaccinated folks, and the deaths are certainly occurring with unvaccinated folks. These folks are choosing a horrible lifestyle of self-inflicted pain.
Besides, this emotional plea you just gave us, what is it going to take to get people to get shots in arms?
I don't know, you tell me. Folks supposed to have common sense. But it's time to start blaming the unvaccinated folks, not the regular folks. It's the unvaccinated folks that are letting us down.
But as a leader of the state, don't you think it's your responsibility to try and help get this situation under control?
I've done all I know how to do. I can encourage you to do something, but I can't make you take care of yourself.
So, yeah, I thought that was very, profound. And the reason why I would say that, so for those of you at home, if you couldn't actually hear the audio or whatever, you should have been able to, but, she basically, that's the governor of Alabama, right? And she basically is sort of fed up with, the unvaccinated, and essentially just blamed, basically said it's time to start blaming the unvaccinated. That the reason why we have this variant is because people aren't getting vaccinated, right? And then at the end, the one reporter there says, well, isn't it your, what can we do to encourage people to get vaccinated? And she basically turns around and says, you tell me. I've done everything I know how to do. And then he says, well, you're the leader of the state, paraphrasing. And she says back to him, I can't force people to take care of themselves, right? And the reason why I thought that was significant is, first off, this is Alabama, right? So you will never find a more red state than Alabama, right? That is the deepest of the deep South, like that whole area right there, Alabama, Louisiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, like that's like the deepest of the red states. This is like Klan country around there, right? Like, so in no possible way would this woman be considered a liberal or a progressive or a Democrat. Even the Democrats down there are highly conservative. These are the places where, like, people like Joe Manchin come from, like, oh, I'm a Democrat, but he's essentially, like, all of his policy positions line up with Republicans. You know what I mean? So even people who would be considered left of center are highly right-wing in this part of the country, right? And it's like, well, if this governor feels confident enough to say something like that, that kind of tells me that the general sentiment is starting to change a little bit, because she wouldn't say that if, like, you know, like a politician doesn't say something like that if they ever have any hope of getting reelected. They're not going to turn on their base like that.
Oh yeah, it's the,
You know.
they would do the Southern strategy to the bitter end.
Yeah,
So-
but they would, you know, like if this woman thought that, hey, if I come out against vaccinations, it's going to cost me my next election, she wouldn't do it. You know, and that's you know, the truth. It's also kind of a shitty truth that we have to deal with in our country, right? That you know, politicians are going to put their own careers above the goodwill of everybody. You know, as a general rule of thumb. I
Yeah,
mean,
just
maybe
see Ted Cruz and Mitch McConnell.
exactly Ted
Yeah.
Cruz. You know, Ted Cruz who bails and leaves his like constituents, you know, to freeze to death while he goes off to the Cancun or whatever.
Yeah. And then
Perfect
throws
example.
Yeah, throws his own family under the bus when an explanation is needed.
Exactly. Blames it on his kids. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
perfect example of how they'll look out for themselves, but they'll also look out for their own political futures. So another example of that is the House Minority Leaders, Kevin McCarthy, right? He's the basically, like, if you remember back in the you know, January 6th like insurrection riot or whatever. Kevin McCarthy had a lot of bad things to say about that, and a lot of bad things to say about Donald Trump. And apparently he called Donald Trump and got in this huge argument with him, blah, 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 all this stuff. And, you know, 6 months later, he's blocking the, you know, Senate from signing on to the investigation, and he's sending, like I don't know.
Cultists.
Yeah, like, so Nancy Pelosi starts her own committee, and then he sends like Jim Jordan and a couple of other people who are like Trump loyalists, and so he's basically not interested anymore in investigating what happened. And it kind of goes to show, it's like, okay, well, 6 months ago when your life was in danger, you were rip roaring ready to go, and there's video of him standing before the House like saying this is Trump's fault and we need to investigate and blah blah blah, all this shit. And he's definitely turned his, you know, and he's turned his tail and ran because it's his constituents.
Don't you mean bend over and said come in?
Exactly.
Sorry.
No, it's all right.
That was a little much. I apologize.
No, pile it on, dude. It's cool. But, you know, yeah, exactly. You know, he basically, because he knows that this is his people. These are his constituents. These are the people that vote for him. And if he comes out against, you know, if he lets on that he wants an investigation, then he's not going to be Senate Minority Leader next time. So he's making a calculation that it's like, you know, in order to save his own fucking career. That's basically what I mean. And, you know, you see that sort of slimy politician that, you know, that's why they call politicians slimy, you know, like two-faced liars, because they'll turn around on a moment's notice if it benefits them politically, right?
Yeah.
And you don't really see, like, there's very few politicians that don't do that. You know, maybe Bernie Sanders that I can think of, right? Trying to think of an example on the right that also does this, but I can't really think of any off the top of my head. You know, I'm sure there probably are a few you know, Republicans in the Senate or the House who actually do stick by their you know, policy positions, but I can't think of any. You know.
And I hate to say, after what happened to Liz Cheney.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
There
think
you
a
go.
lot of them are kind of keeping quiet just to kind of hold on to their positions.
There you go. There's one example right there. Yeah, Liz Cheney. She actually kind of decided to you know, make a stand a little bit, you know. And Liz Cheney is in no way progressive at all. She's not a liberal. She's not a progressive. She's the daughter of the former vice president, and for the most part, essentially believes in the exact same things as Dick Cheney, you know, when it comes to things like terrorism, when it comes to energy policy, shit like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she's highly, highly conservative. I mean, she's from fucking Wyoming, for crying out loud, which, if any of you guys out there watching have never been to Wyoming, there's nothing there. It's cattle ranchers for as far as the eye can see. My mom actually grew up there, so we would go there, every couple of years to visit my grandparents and shit. Like the capital city of Wyoming is like smaller than the town that I live in right now. Like, you show up there, you drive for 10 minutes, and you're like out of town. It's like, where the hell am I? Like, oh, there's one mall, one airport. Oh, this got a little jacked up. Gotta fix that. So anyway, getting back to the subject in hand. So yeah, that really kind of got me. The fact that this governor is willing to even say this, because I can just only imagine the amount of hate this governor is getting now. Death threats, things like that. Plus she's like, she's a woman, so she's probably getting all kinds of weird like sexual fucking threats and things like that. And most likely this is going to be used against her when she runs for re-election, if she chooses to.
Yeah.
In the future. So this tells me that it must be getting really bad. They must be getting really pissed off, The reason why I think that Republicans in general, like, because we've kind of seen, like, over the last couple of weeks, a tonal shift in, probably over the last week, a bit of a tonal shift when it comes to vaccinations from establishment Republicans, right? So you saw, for example, this video, Sean Hannity came out on his show and said something that was generally, positive towards vaccinations, right? Of course, he backtracked it the next day.
Yeah.
But he came out and he said that, please take this seriously, blah, 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 right? And then the next day, of course, he said, well, I didn't tell anybody to actually get vaccinated.
Yeah. Another example would be like Tucker Carlson, like when Trump was in office, he was begging for a vaccine and all excited for it when he did. But the minute he left office, he was suddenly a big anti-vaxxer. Well, relatively speaking.
He definitely is, though. I mean, right now he's doing like segments and stuff about how, the vaccine is like, it's an experiment, and that was actually something I was going to bring up here in a little bit. He basically made comments to the effect of trying to blame Fauci for the entire thing, but we'll come to that in a minute. So yeah, but there does seem to be a little bit of softening around the edges. You still get the crazy people like Alex Jones and like and actually Tucker Carlson. You still get these people who are like exploiting this for their own gain, and are putting out segments on anti-vax segments, stuff like that, right? But but it still kind of got me wondering, like, why is it that they're starting to soften their stance a little bit, right? And I think it really has to do with the threat of another lockdown.
Yeah.
Because the lockdown, like, I don't really think that any of these people actually care about people's lives.
Oh, absolutely.
They don't give a shit about that. They don't care about the number of people who are dying. They don't care about any of that shit.
Yeah, but if their paychecks are on the line, watch out.
Yeah. And specifically, I think they care about the stock market, number one.
Mm-hmm.
So if the stock market goes down, and the stock market is not really a good indicator of economic well-being. Not really. Like, basically, the stock market, kind of measures how the wealth of the 1% is doing, not so much everybody else. Like most people, when they own stocks, they own them through a 401k or something like that. Like like your company you work for takes your 401k and invests it in a portfolio for you, Or they may have small amounts, And when I say small amounts, like something like, a few thousand shares in any given company, that's a small amount. Even if you had like 10,000 shares in a company, like let's say that, there's a company with a stock that's worth $5 and you have 10,000 shares of that stock. That's still a tiny amount, you know, because the actual big players in the stock market, they invest millions and millions of dollars. So, you know, Facebook goes public. A lot of people went out there and bought Facebook. Well, the hedge funds and all that bought, you know, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of shares of Facebook. Right? And they, you know, so they are able to, oh, did I put that on the wrong layer? Oh, God damn it. I hate that.
It's okay, we've all been there. I hate doing
You know what? I'm just gonna, nah, let's just, alright. Yeah. I'm just gonna leave it where it is. Okay. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about, huh?
Yeah, it's like you think you're on the right layer, and then 2 hours later, damn it.
Totally. See, that's why, like, I gotta get in the habit of naming my layers. And I even did it here, and I just didn't even pay attention to it. I just, anyway. But I'm still, like, so yeah, stock market, you know, like, they'll invest, like, you know, millions and millions of dollars. And so the stock, you know, goes up by 50 cents. They make fucking $5 million, you know, or whatever. Whereas, like, normal people can't compete with that shit, right? So it's very, like, I think that's what it is. I think they're afraid that the stock market's going to go down, they're going to lose a shitload of money, and they don't want to have to go into those lockdowns again. And not only that, but it will result in, if they have to do another lockdown, that means they're going to have to do another stimulus, right? And if that happens, then they're going to eventually going to have to raise taxes, right? So they're kind of afraid of Joe Biden raising taxes, because that was sort of his plan, you know, to begin with, was to raise taxes on people who made more than $200,000 a year. Lewis the Hedgehog, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining. You know, and so I think they're afraid of that too, because it's kind of unsustainable. You can't have multiple lockdowns and multiple stimuluses without, you know, some sort of revenue coming in, right? It's eventually, you know, I mean, yeah, the United States can run huge deficits, right? Crap. See, that's on the wrong layer. You know what we're going to do? We're just going to take this. We are going to select that.
Not to interrupt or anything, X. But yeah, naming your layers, it helps a lot, dude, from my experience.
Totally.
Yeah, so.
And then we're going to move that down here, and then we're going to do merge down. Booyah. There you go. Now it's on the right layer.
You want to take this time to name the layers?
I actually did. I just wasn't paying attention when I painted it on there.
All right.
But I actually did. Oh shit, that was the wrong thing. Anyway, so yeah, that kind of got me, you know, a little interested in that, you know, and I guess it kind of goes to show, it's like, you know, I mean, we don't really know the motivations of this governor, and it could really be for political reasons. It could really be because she's tired of you know, people dying in her state, and maybe just really genuinely wants to help people. But you know, ultimately, to me, it doesn't matter what the motivation is. It's as long as they're encouraging people to get vaccinated, you know what I mean, I'm fine with that. It's like, I don't care if she's selfish. Right? I don't care why she's telling people to do it. Just the fact that she's doing it means to me that she's a much better person than, you know, than 90% of the people in her political party.
Yeah.
Yes, Lewis. I got my co-host here. His name's Zinshoma.
Yeah, I've been in chats before. I recognize you, Mr. Lewis.
So it's my buddy Nshoma. Actually got to hang out, which is cool. Haven't seen this guy in like a year, so.
Yes.
So this is my co-host for today.
Yeah, by the way, we're all vaccinated, so that's why we're taking a chance today.
Yes,
so.
Everybody's vaccinated,
so. Yeah, although we're still debating whether or not we should lick each other's faces.
You can lick my face if you want, but.
No.
I'm not licking nobody's face. Anyway. So let's see here. Some other things I wanted to talk about. Yeah, like you're starting to see a little bit of a turnaround, you know, when it comes to this kind of thing. And the thing about it is that, because you all sort of know that, you know, all of these people on TV, you know, and Fox and like what's his name, fucking Tucker Carlson, and all of these senators and everything who are spreading around this sort of anti-vax conspiracy theories. You know that they're all vaccinated, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Every single one of them are.
Yeah, no, when the vaccinations were fully announced and started to be rolled out, they were the first in line.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people waiting in lines alongside the very Democrats they were fighting against.
You know,
So,
exactly. You know,
yeah.
the rich people got it before all of us got it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the thing is that, you know, we know for a fact, for example, Tucker Carlson has been vaccinated, even though he won't say, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Apparently, there was a thing in the news the other day where a reporter asked him if he wanted to, you know, are you vaccinated? And then he sort of snapped back with this really, like, you know, basically just like sexually harassed this reporter who asked him, and said back to her, well, that's, you know, a very personal question. I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And said something to the effect of, you know, when was the last time you had sex? And what was the position you were in? You know, trying to, like, say that this is too personal of a question, right? However, we know that he most likely has been vaccinated because Fox News has a vaccine passport for their company. So you're not allowed to get inside of the building where Tucker Carlson works unless you've been vaccinated. Right? They won't allow you in the building.
Yeah.
So
and also what
now,
a disgusting distractionary reply to use.
Yeah, what a
You wanna
disgusting
avoid
thing
the
to say.
question, yeah. He could have at least been classy about it and said no comment instead of something that horrific.
Or he could have just said no, you know. Instead, yeah, but you're exactly right. Instead, he decides to be a total douchebag about it.
Yeah, no, and that rhetoric is just as strong as body language, and based on how he reacted to that, I would definitely say he got vaccinated and he's just too stupid to admit it or deny it either way.
Of course, we have to give that caveat that, you know, we're speculating here, obviously. We don't have any insider info.
Mm-hmm.
This is all speculation, but seeing exactly what you said from his reaction, his body language, right? And plus the fact that he wouldn't be allowed inside of the studio where he works if he wasn't vaccinated.
Yeah.
You know, chances are he's actually been vaccinated. So he's basically just doing this to appeal to his base of people who would probably turn on him if he admitted that he was vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Which, you know, says to me that he's a pile of human shit stuffed into a three-piece suit.
Oh yeah, no, he's constantly
right.
He will flip-flop on any situation as long as his personal career is on the line or something.
And why? Why though? Right? First off, the guy's a freaking multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
So why is he doing it? He doesn't need the money, number one. So what, he's afraid his career is going to get jacked up? Like, you know, like Fox is ever going to drop this guy. He's the highest, like, rated, pundit on TV.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah,
right?
Especially after, what's-his-face, Bill
O'Reilly, after
Bill
he
O'Reilly
left.
got kicked out.
Which is, you know, and it's disturbing that Tucker Carlson is number one. It's like you get this hateful, like, asshole.
Yeah.
Right, who just peddles complete horseshit. And this guy gets more viewers than anybody else. And, you know, you got to think, like, you know, I mean, let's say he got 5 million nightly views on each show, right? And then you think, like, okay, well, 5 million people out of a nation of 100, you know, 330 or whatever, that's not that many. 5 million every single night tuning in, watching, you know, that's like when a YouTube video hits 1 million views, people lose their minds and go, oh, it got 1 million views, blah, blah, blah. Or if a YouTube video gets 10 million or something like that, right? He's getting these types of viewership every day. So it's, you know, we can't underestimate that. And even though it's the same people pretty much every single day, you know, maybe not. Maybe there's a different group of 10 million, you know, so his ability to influence the national discourse is like disproportionate to the you know, to pretty much everyone else. Like his show gets more viewers than like all of CNN gets for any show that they have, like for the entire day and shit. So that's why, you know, anyway, That's why it's important. It's important because people pay attention to this shit, right? And which is really fucking like disgusting, you know. There's another one. I have this video here. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. So there was, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene is our favorite insane, you know, House representative, right? Who seems to have taken the mantle of crazy, crazy conservative lady. You know, it used to be held by Michelle Bachmann. I don't know if you remember years ago. Michelle Bachmann was nuts. I would say Marjorie Taylor Greene is not as, she's a bigger, like, she's much more bitchy
Yeah.
than Michelle Bachmann was, but Michelle Bachmann was more of a religious nut, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is more of like a Karen kind of I want to talk to your manager kind of nut, who like, she's one of those people who kind of like doesn't really have a formal education and has read a bunch of shit on the internet and thinks they know what they're talking about, but when you actually speak to them, you realize like it's all shit she got from Facebook. Like, you know, like she was part of QAnon and all that stuff. So
she also gives off vibes like in a gangster movie. She's the crazy goon that they keep around for muscle, but they know she or he is so unreliable when things get bad, she'll be the first to be abandoned and shot.
Exactly.
Yeah, while the more intelligent gangsters run away with the loot.
Totally, like they leave her as the you know, they leave her as the decoy.
Yeah, yeah.
When the cops show up.
Yeah.
You know.
And haven't they already kind of done that to her? Like because when they kicked her out of. I think they kicked her out of Congress. You know, there wasn't much resistance.
It was what it was is she lost all of her committee seats. Okay. So when you're in Congress, right? If you want to get any laws passed, you have to be on a committee, right?
Yeah.
And so if you want to say, like, let's say you have an idea, you want to make a law about gambling or something, then you have to get on a such and such select committee on gambling or whatever, and then introduce your legislation, and then, you know, it gets picked up by the whoever's in charge of that, and blah blah blah. And keep in mind, none of this stuff is actually in the Constitution. This is all just rules that the you know, that the Congress came up with by themselves in order to do their jobs. And, you know, now of course all of these different rules are always manipulated in political ways in order to maintain power and take power away from the other party, shit like that. You know, the way it should work is that anybody should be able to stand up and introduce legislation and get a vote on it. And they created all of this stuff so that it takes that power out of the hands of the normal senators and puts it in the hands of the minority leaders. You know, none of that stuff's in the Constitution either. There's nothing in the Constitution about the Senate minority leader and, you know, he gets to sign on legislation. None of that shit's there. But anyway, that's what they did do when she, you know, when they found out after she got elected and they found out she was a fucking QAnon and nutcase, and she made some anti-Semitic comments, stuff like that. You can't really kick somebody out of the Senate for being racist or for being an anti-Semite.
Yeah, if that was true,
you know,
the Congress would have been empty ages ago.
Oh, I know, but you have to actually commit a crime. So, I think the last time that happened was a guy named Jim Traficant in 2006, I think. Jim Traficant was a Democrat who was like basically got accused of bribery, you know, and appeared to be kind of a piece of garbage. So that was, you know, so it does happen occasionally. They do have the power to expel somebody from Congress, but it's not something they can just do just because they don't like you.
Yeah.
Right,
but,
unfortunately.
Yeah, but no, when she kind of lost her seats, and after all the, it was very telling how, like, a lot of Republicans didn't really stand up for her, or if they did, it was always half-heartedly, compared to, like, some of the crap that Mitch McConnell or Trump had pulled.
Oh yeah, they threw her ass under the bus in a second.
Yeah, so.
And that's that's the thing is, you know, because it's all politics to these people, right? Hey, what color should I make the Smurf tanks? Should they be blue? I mean, they're Smurfs.
If you do it, yeah, if you do it as a blue, like kind of a darker blue, although I'd also recommend maybe
like this kind of
maybe a grape color.
Purple?
Yeah, or like a purplish blue.
Purple blue?
Yeah, because you already have some blue in the background with the foot. Oh yeah, that's a good one right
like
there.
That?
Yeah. So,
hey, that makes it look like you ever see that episode of the Smurfs where they like get the Smurf zombie plague?
Okay,
and they
you've definitely seen way more Smurfs than I do. It's just one big blue blur to me from my
You never
childhood.
saw that one? So there was an episode of the Smurfs where like, yeah, they get a zombie plague.
Oh my god.
And they turn into they turn purple, and the way the disease is spread is through bites. And it's like the Smurfs turns into a zombie movie. It's awesome. And they're all like, you know, so all that's left is like, you know, Papa Smurf and like Handy and like Brainy and Smurfette, and they're like stuck in a house, and the other evil Smurfs are like surrounding them. And so they come up with a cure to it, where it's like they have these little bug sprayers, and they go out and they're spraying the other Smurfs with the cure. So there's this zombie battle where they're like shooting the purple Smurfs, and they freaking lose.
I'm honestly shocked.
I know, dude.
Yeah, this has not been mentioned more often, especially considering how obsessed a lot of YouTuber nostalgia reviewers are with zombie films and 80s cartoons.
It's crazy. It's like really, it's frightening because they lose, and then Papa Smurf gets bit, and then he's like, "No, I don't want to change." It's like it's right out of like evil, you know, Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
Where he's like, you know, like the guy's like, "I don't want to change. You know, if it happens to me, you know, you have to kill me." The exact same thing.
Like, was it a dream sequence?
No, it was all
real.
It was all real, and then of course at the very end, after everybody is a purple zombie Smurf. I mean, they're not zombies with blood and all that stuff, but they're like these.
Yeah, a little bit on the rabies side.
Yeah, exactly. They're like rabies zombies that run around and say, I can't remember what they say, but you know, they basically attack each other.
Probably
with bites.
something smurfing stupid.
Anyway, sorry, talking about Smurfs.
Yeah, we'll save that for later.
No, but anyhow. So, getting back to Marjorie Taylor Greene, I know we kind of went off on this massively huge tangent there. Sorry, folks. So yeah, she was asked if she was vaccinated the other day, and she said that was a HIPAA violation, and she wouldn't reveal, which is also kind of telling, because if she was not vaccinated, you think that she would just say, no, I am not vaccinated and I refuse to get vaccinated. Instead, she makes up some bullshit that shows that if she actually believes that shows that she doesn't know what the law is when it comes to HIPAA. So HIPAA is supposed to be the law that says that your doctor is not allowed to talk about your medical history, right? That doesn't mean that you yourself revealing your history or somebody asking you a question is a violation of that, you know, because you can just say no. In fact, it is your prerogative in order to tell anybody that you want your medical history. So kind of seems like she has no clue what that actually means, which is sad and disturbing, because this is a person that is creating laws for us.
Yeah, and another common distraction or delaying tools that psychos like that like to use.
Exactly.
So.
And then she actually went on Steve Bannon's radio podcast. I guess he has like a radio show or a podcast or something, and was asked about, you know, vaccinations. And I actually have that video here that I want to queue up for you guys. Let me see here. Where is my video? Let me just go into here. Okay, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene on Steve Bannon's show. Let me get this ready. It is sad and disturbing and funny and horrifying all at the same time. Excuse me, folks. Start that. And
we all know he's lied.
Wait.
And here.
Okay, I hate how these things just automatically begin All right, let me move this over here. No, fuck off. Let me move that over here, and let me make this a little smaller so that the YouTube stream gods don't accidentally, like, you know, screw us up here. And let me play that. So this is Marjorie Taylor Greene on Steve Bannon's show here.
We all know he's lied. And here we've seen most of these senators, we've seen the Democrats, Joe Biden administration, we see them holding this man up and heralding him like he's some sort of hero, but yet he's the one that has been running his own personal human experiment with COVID-19 because gain of function is his baby, and then he paid for it with our tax dollars.
So what she just talked about right there was, she's talking about Dr. Fauci. Gain of function, right? So there's the conspiracy now out there is that the CDC funded partially research at the lab in Wuhan where COVID, you know, originally spawned from, right? Mm-hmm. And the conspiracy is that they did what's called gain of function research, right? So basically helping it become transmissible from an animal to a human. And that is unsubstantiated. There is no actual proof that that kind of research went on there, mm-hmm. right? Now, because, you know, I've heard a lot about this conspiracy theory, right? In that, you know, was it a lab leak, all that stuff. The thing about that is that a lot of people pushed it through last year because they essentially were trying to blame the entire thing on China to begin with, way back in the day. And this was I actually kind of talked about this in a prior stream a little bit. You know, I think we can make this. And yeah, I guess to be safe, we should just sort of put it down there. Okay. So yeah, if you remember last year, the focus was on trying to deflect the I guess deflect away from the Trump administration's incredibly bad handling.
Yeah, deflect the blame.
Right. And they started calling it, you know, the main target they came up with was China. Right. We're going to blame it on China. They called it the Chinese virus, the Wuhan flu.
Yeah, no, if you make a horrible mistake, people like that always pick a scapegoat. Or
exactly.
Try to create a scapegoat.
And which I never understood that shit, because even if it was, say, China's fault, like, mm-hmm. China doesn't really have much to do with the response from the United States. Like, how so? How is it, you know, like, it's not like China forced Donald Trump to do such a bad job, right, with the response. So that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. That's the equivalent of, like, if someone else starts a forest fire and your house is in trouble, but you don't want to do anything because you didn't start the forest fire.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're going to blame somebody else when you don't take any steps at all
to prevent your house from catching on fire.
To mitigate the problem, right? And so that was one thing. Now you'll notice that what she said there, she's blaming it on Dr. Fauci because, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to blame the entire thing on him. That's the kind of this range of attack, and you see this, like, actually in a lot of conspiracy theory circles now, that okay, well, he funded it, so it kind of works in with that conspiracy that the whole thing is a bioweapon. In fact, you notice she mentioned that as well. He helped create this bioweapon, right? Which is bullshit. If it was a weapon, the last thing you want to do is release a weapon on your own population. So, you know, please remember that probably more people have died in China than the United States. We don't actually know the official numbers in China are smaller, but we don't know how accurate those are. There are videos of hospitals with people with bodies lined up in the corridors, in the hallways. So many people died, right?
Yeah.
Now, whether that's because they just didn't have sufficient infrastructure in order to handle this many people, and they didn't have maybe the morgue was full, maybe there really were only 180,000 people that have died there, but more than likely it's probably closer to 1 million. And this is one of those things that we're just never going to know.
Yeah.
Maybe a decade from now, somebody might have, you know, there's going to be a range. It's going to be like, you know, anywhere from, you know, 100,000 to 1,000,000 people that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, also, I would put this out. China is almost just as bad as the Trump administration in just bungling matters for bureaucratic and moronic, selfish reasons. So I think, like, a lot of people like to think China is this bizarre alien communist country, but in reality, they handled the virus just as poorly as we did, and vice versa. And I think trying to say that was deliberately created in a lab is probably a coping mechanism for a lot of conspiracy theorists.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, it's most likely the lack of regulation and food health laws that are happening here in America, you know, help with that virus's spread. But yeah. So it's just capitalism ruining civilization, and nobody wants to point to the real reasons for that. So we create these elaborate fantasies of evil lab experiments, and Dr. Fauci was the mastermind behind it the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. So, it gives comfort to people in order to think that there was a reason behind it.
Yeah, because it's a lot more comfortable to think that it was a mastermind other behind everything.
Exactly.
As opposed to like, oh no, it's the people who are just like you who greedily and foolishly let this happen because they greedily and foolishly didn't want to do anything to keep it from happening.
Exactly. Yeah, like they're treating him like he's a Bond villain. That's what it is. You know, that Dr. Fauci is now like fucking, you know, like he's inside of like some giant compound somewhere with like soldiers that wear masks or whatever, make it a space laser to like, you know what I mean? Like,
come forth, my children. Let's see what we do today.
Exactly. You know, with mini-me and shit hanging out with him. Right. So that was kind of fucked up. But anyway, there's actually some more here to our comments, so let's continue on with the rest of the video here.
This man needs to be investigated. How dare he use our tax dollars to create some sort of disgusting evil science that has killed so many people all over the world and fund it with our tax dollars? This man is an enemy to our nation. He's an enemy to the world because he played a major role in creating a bioweapon, which is COVID-19. There is a huge...
So, you hear that? Yeah, that's basically just reiterating what we just said. Mm-hmm. She's gonna get him killed. You know, she just basically said that, you know, he's what we just said, you know, he's like a villain. How dare he create this bioweapon with our tax dollars? Someone is going to try to assassinate Dr. Fauci because of this. Yeah. You know, there was a video the other day, I don't know if you saw it, where Fauci and Rand Paul were talking in Congress. Did you see that video?
No, I haven't, but I can only imagine how bad it got.
Where basically Fauci kind of got pissed and turned around and said, you know, frankly, you don't know what you're talking about. And Rand Paul was basically saying this exact same thing. You know, he was talking about gain of function. You know, did the CDC fund gain of function research? And Fauci said no. And then like Rand Paul accused him of lying. And then Fauci goes, you don't know what you're talking about. And, you know, remember, Rand Paul's a doctor, but he's an optometrist, right? So he's not, you know, that's not his field of expertise. Yeah. Right? He, you know, I guess if you want eyeglasses and shit, he's the guy that you go to, right? But not if you want to talk, you know, if you want to talk about, like, infectious, you know, diseases and shit. Right. So it's sort of like... You know, he's and the thing is, but he's still a doctor. He should know basic science. He should still understand. So it's sort of like he's lying on purpose. Like, and it's like this coordinated effort to blame the entire thing on Dr. Fauci. It's ridiculous. But shit, there's something in my nose. Sorry. I'm like picking my nose here, folks.
It's the Dr. Fauci virus.
I got the Dr. Fauci's infected my nostrils.
Oh no, he's in there in his microscopic mini sub.
Totally. Okay.
Damn you, Dr. Fauci.
Damn you, Fauci. You'll never get away with this. Okay, let me continue on with the rest of the video here. There's about another 30 seconds.
Okay.
Problem we have right now here in Washington, D.C., and that is the fact that a bunch of these people are communist. They're communist. They are all of their policies.
What do you mean by they're communist?
They're communist because the policies coming out of the Democrats, the open borders, wrecking our economy.
Is this really a communist Democratic Party?
I believe it is. I used to call them socialist. I've completely changed. Now that I have taken hard looks into their policy, I've studied China, studied the Communist Party of China, went to California, seen the communist government in California. What we are dealing with is communism. So I'll tell you something.
Okay, so that little bit there shows that Marjorie Taylor Greene has no idea what communism is. She thinks that the Democrats are communist, that these are communist policies. Apparently it's communist to want to try to save people from dying from a virus. That's communism. She said that California is communist, which is, I don't know, when did that happen?
Yeah, and let's face, like, you know as well as I do, California has way more conservative voters in it than we want to admit to it.
California is massively conservative.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think if we were to ask her right now, okay, well, what in California makes it so communist, right? Because she specifically said that right there. The policies in California make it communist. I've been there.
Oh, no, the policies in California are definitely conservative. If not, why do we have so many homeless people on the street right now?
Yeah, what the fuck? Where's their government-supplied jobs? You know, if it was a communist country, if it was a communist country, then conceivably that means the means of production should be owned by the workers. So that means there should be no homeless people. Everybody should have a job, right?
Yeah, in fact,
that means there's no public property if it's a communist country, right? So that means, you know, the fucking if you're homeless, you should be able to go to your local committee board on houselessness and be like, hey, where's my government-owned house, motherfuckers? You know, no, it's obvious bullshit, and like I don't think that she could even name one of the policies that she's talking about. Like, what the fuck is make that so communist? You know, like what? You know, shit is expensive in California, man.
Oh, like, yeah, that too.
I got a traffic ticket once because there was a big sign that said no left turn, and I made a left turn because I just totally didn't pay attention to the sign because fuck the sign. And of course I got caught by a cop, you know, and I tried to BS my way out of the ticket and it didn't work.
Yeah. The cops gotta meet their monthly quota.
So, but you know, I did it. So I didn't fight too hard because I obviously did it and the guy saw me do it. So I was like, whatever. It was $500 for making a left turn when a sign said not to make a left turn. Right? Is that what's communist in the country? Like, is that like, you know, like how the fuck, you know, that doesn't make any fucking sense. You know, so it really, it blows me away, you know. Dinah Cat loves me. She studied, folks. Yeah. She totally fucking studied. She studied the back of a fucking Cracker Jack box. Right?
Yeah.
She studied, like, you know, she went to a palm reader, or, you know, got, like, some, like, goat entrails and threw them on the ground and studied that shit or something. She's using fucking magic.
Yeah, like I said, she's the psychopath they keep around until they don't need her anymore.
Exactly.
So,
all right, let's get rid of her. She's driving me nuts. Plus, I want to start coloring some more.
Plus, plus she looks pretty terrible with it. Never mind, I'm not gonna say it.
So apparently, she's into. There's like this. There's this sort of insane workout regimen where you work out so hard that your muscles like tear and you can actually get sick and die from it.
Oh god.
So apparently if you work out so hard and you don't take any rests in between, like you're supposed to work out and then you're supposed to wait a day and then work out some more and then wait, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she does this sort of ridiculous CrossFit thing where you just work out until your muscles are like start to like break down, and then like the proteins can get sent to your like liver and it could cause liver damage or something like that. And that's what she does. So if you look at her, that's why her arms are all like super huge and buff. Right? Because she's like is part of this like incredibly unhealthy workout regimen. You know, she's also, remember, a QAnon person. She made the Jewish space laser, you know, comments and all that. She's the one that went to fucking Auschwitz and like the entire impact of what Auschwitz went right over her head, because she keeps making like Holocaust, analogies when it comes to mask mandates, things like that. So yeah, she's all fucked up.
Yeah.
And I know we said this last time, but she actually ran unopposed. So please, somebody run against her next time. Please.
Even if you're a libertarian, just run against her.
Period. Does anybody just get a blow-up doll and put a wig on it, and get a Tutty Rexpin like fucking voice box and stick it in there, and we'll call it like Ted the Blow-Up Doll, and then we can vote for that. Just somebody vote. Run something like I don't care what it is. It could be an octopus. It could be like a balloon with a happy face on it.
A trash can with a photo of her face, but with a mustache.
Like anything, exactly. I will vote for whatever the fuck it is that runs against Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And what state is she in again?
Georgia.
Georgia. Okay.
Yeah. Or was it in Georgia?
I don't know.
You know what? Now I need to look that up.
Yeah.
I thought she was from Georgia, but I could be wrong. Or I don't want to.
Maybe the Georgia we're thinking of is the funny farm she came off from.
Let me see here.
Sorry, that was a dumb joke.
Georgia's 14th congressional district. So.
Yeah. When is she supposed? Yeah, is she supposed to be getting office again soon, or?
Well, no, she's a freshman, so she's got 2 years until she has to. Is it 2 years for the House, or is it 6 years? I think it's 2 years for the House reps, right? And then 6 years for the Congress people, in the Senate. Anyway, so yeah, that was kind of jacked up there. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about with Charlie Kirk. Another video. So, for all of you people out there who are lucky enough to have never encountered anything having to do with Charlie Kirk online, he is the founder or co-founder of a... God damn it. I just put that all on the wrong background. I'm just going to merge these layers. Fuck that. I screwed it all up. Just merge it. Anyway, he is the founder of Turning Point USA, which is a group that goes around to colleges and now high schools and starts like, conservative student union groups and that kind of thing, basically to like screw up like young people's minds. Right? That's Charlie Kirk. He goes out, he gives money to like young Republican groups and stuff like that.
Right. And
has like he'll do talks and things. He'll sponsor like conservative speakers at colleges, like Milo Yiannopoulos and shit like that. He'll like sponsor them so that they can go speak to students and like, fuck up their minds. Right, that kind of thing. And he has kind of turned somewhat anti-vax as well, which is very surprising because the co-founder of his organization, Turning Point USA, was actually an older guy who died of COVID last year. So you would think that, hey, someone that I know personally is dead from this disease, you'd think that he would have some pretty strong feelings to say about, vaccinations. But like all of these other conservative slime bags, he's seen which way the wind blows, and Charlie Kirk has firmly come out as an anti-vax wacko, and is also very much now throwing his hat in the ring with conspiracy theories. So I have here a link of him, because Charlie Kirk also has a radio show. So let me go ahead and open this up. This should be from a tweet. Hopefully this will not autoplay. Nope, stop playing. Alright. Let's make this a little bigger. Oh, actually, let's escape.
Oh, this punchable face person.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about,
yeah,
right? Nope, stop. Okay. Let's move this over here. So this is Charlie Kirk right here. His face is too small for his head.
And punchable.
He looks like a Dick Tracy villain.
I was gonna
doesn't
say,
he?
yeah, he's one Gotham bat away from becoming a Dick Tracy villain.
Like there's an actual Dick Tracy villain. Wait, hang on a second.
Littleface.
Littleface,
I
yeah.
know exactly what you're talking about.
Face Dick.
We try to be very classy and intelligent on your show, but today it's hard not to.
There we go. This here is Littleface. For those of you who are, not familiar with Dick Tracy, right?
Yeah. To be fair, though, the actual Littleface is rocking the look a lot better than
Charlie Kirk.
Yes.
Exactly. I wonder if this guy dressed up as Littleface when he was in grade school or something.
Oh, obviously he's a dickweed, so he's not a Dick Tracy fan like me and my brothers were.
So let's see. Let's make this bigger, but no, stop. Let's see. I don't want it to take up my entire screen because I don't want there to be any copyright strikes. So let's just sort of make it a little smaller and just put it right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I could make that a little bit bigger so people could see it. Maybe I could do this kind of thing. There we go. We can make that a little bit bigger. Okay. So this is Charlie Kirk. This is on Twitter. I will put links to all of this stuff in the chat and everything, so if you guys want to check it out, yourself, you can go and watch these little videos later. Here's the chat to that.
As we've been talking about throughout this entire hour, the new VAERS data, according to the CDC website, VAERS is a public portal that you can plug into the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. Shows that there is as many as 12,313 deaths after getting the vaccine. We've also gone into detail about how the VAERS and the FDA, according to this study of the Electronic Support for Public Health Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, shows that it really might only reflect 1%. So, if VAERS is off by 99%, that would mean 1.2 million people died after getting the vaccine. If VAERS is off by 90%, that means that that's right. If VAERS is only calculating 10%, that means 123,000 died. Is that right, Connor? Yeah, 1.2 million. That's right. 1.2 million actually. Yeah, that's right. More than double the number of people who have died from COVID in the U.S. I'm not saying that's true. I'm saying that according to how we calculate VAERS by the independent study that was administered, this could be true. So where are our elected leaders looking into this? Why are our leaders all of a sudden peddling the vaccine? What's behind this?
Okay, so just a quick recap of what he just said. Right, so VAERS is the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. Right, so he was talking about VAERS, and he said that there have been a reported 12,000 deaths, right, after people have taken the vaccine. So first off, that's not true. Okay, there haven't been 12,000 deaths. There have been roughly 4,000. Okay, that 12,000 number comes from an extrapolation where people are claiming if it's 4,000 a week, then it's 12,000 a month, right, or something like that. Because between 3,000 to 4,000 a week, times 4 weeks comes out to roughly 12,000. Right. That's not true. So 12,000 people a week, a week or a month or whatever, are not dying from vaccine-related, complications, right? There's no truth to that at all, right? What has been reported is after people who have taken the vaccine and then died afterwards, there have been 4,000 people, right? Now here's the thing, right? We don't know if any of those people who have actually died and been reported through VAERS, if they actually died because of the vaccine. Mm-hmm. Okay. It can be anything, And you know, keep in mind, a lot of these people that have died are extremely old, right? Because those are the majority of people who die from, you know, the Rona, are people who are 65 years and older, right? Mm-hmm. And those were the people that got the first round of vaccine because they're the highest, you know, you know, threat group, right? The people that are at the
most acceptable.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Right. So those, you know, all the old people got the vaccine first because they're the ones that are at the greatest threat of actually dying from the, you know, from the Rona, right? So the thing is, old people die all the time, okay? And people have been getting this vaccine for months now. So first off, this, you know, if this vaccine killed 4,000 people a week, we should be able to go back all the way until last October, November, when they started giving it out to people who were 65 years and older, and we should see a consistent pattern of 3,000 to 4,000 people dying every week, right? And now the thing is you got to also remember that it has been given to other, you know, other, like, all adults now. So everybody who's an adult can now get this vaccine, right? Mm-hmm. And we're not seeing, you know, thousands and thousands of people dropping dead from it. Okay. Kind of quite the opposite. There have been roughly 330 doses of all of the different types of vaccines, you know. Because also that's another thing. It's like, which vaccine is he talking about? You know, is he talking about the AstraZeneca one? Is he talking about the, you know what I mean? Like, there's one that's only one dose, right? So there's actually 3 different vaccines, and it's like, well, which one does he mean? You know, he's not, right. He's not actually mentioning that either, because VAERS doesn't actually collect that data. See, all VAERS does is that, did you have an adverse event? Right. Mm-hmm. Well, an adverse event could be a lot of things. An adverse event can be pain in your shoulder. Yeah. You know, I got pain in my shoulders when that happened. Fucking hurt like a bitch. Hurt like crazy.
Right. Mine wasn't that bad, but it was numb for a week or two when I got my shot. Yeah.
It was like, for me, it was like 3 days that it, like, seriously hurt. But after the first day, it started going away. And by day 3, it was just sort of like a minor inconvenience, right? Yeah. That's an adverse reaction. You can report that from VAERS, right? But, you know, and the thing is that if somebody dies after taking it, well, people die for reasons for all kinds of things, especially if you're older, you know, heart attacks. If you have a pre-existing condition like, you know, diabetes, something like that, mm-hmm. you know, and you're 65, whatever, and it can, you know, all kinds of stuff like that, and there's no actual proof that the vaccine either contributed to that death or, you know, was a cause of it or whatever, right? There's none of that proof at all. In fact, God, that looks shitty. Hang on, I need to clean that up a little. So, you know, it's like, it's funny how it looks okay when you zoom way out like this, but when you, like, zoom in, then you start noticing that, like, there's all these little imperfections, and then your circles and stuff don't look right.
Yeah, blah blah. I will have to admit, I'm a little too much of a perfectionist when it comes to artwork. Oh yeah. So when I see little problems like that, I make too much of a big deal of it. But if it makes you feel any better, sometimes you can let those flaws, you can get away with those flaws sometimes. Yeah. Because I've seen, like, artwork from, like, the big names in the comic book industry up close with my own eyes. Yeah. And they are covered with so many bizarre artifacts and little mistakes like that. It's like, it kind of calmed me down a bit, and I'm a little less harsh on my own artwork.
Generally, when you zoom out, and it tightens it up. Yeah. And, you know, so when you look at it from this, it's not a lot less noticeable. Yes. So, anyway, so yeah, it's very misleading. So first off, yeah, when he says 12,000 deaths, that's not true. Secondly, he's extrapolating based on, you know, it's not a scientific, like, it's not, the reasoning there is not scientific, right? Just because, say, for example, let's say that 4,000 people actually did die, right, this month, And that's no reason to believe that 4,000 people will die next month, or that 4,000 people died the month before. There's no reason to believe that. You actually have to investigate and have a little bit of evidence before you can make that conclusion, right?
Yes.
Third, where he just said that we know that this is 1%. That's also speculation as well. We don't know that, right? We can speculate that only 1% of people will report if they have an adverse reaction, right? That's what VAERS is for. VAERS is so that if you have, like, you know, any kind of side effect, you can report it. And it's actually used to kind of determine if, you know, there's a serious problem going on. So, for example, one of the things they did find was that, I can't remember what it's called, but it's when your heart, you have symptoms of an enlarged heart.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the vaccines had a side effect where people who are under the age of like 30 or something like that had these symptoms of like heart arrhythmia and that kind of thing. And they found it was something like less than 1,000 cases of that reported through VAERS, and they were able to identify that as an issue and give a warning. So that's how, you know, it's not like they're not taking it seriously. They definitely take this information seriously, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if there really were 4,000, like even like the possibility that 4,000 people a week were dying from it, we wouldn't have the vaccine. They would have pulled it.
Yeah.
Even if it was saving the rest of the people, because that's far too many. Like if they're willing to say 1,000 cases of a non-lethal heart arrhythmia is enough to pause distribution of a vaccine, right? Then, you know, then like 4,000 cases of lethal, you know, is most definitely enough to pause the vaccine. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like, it's a conspiracy, conspiracy theory. Like, why, you know, the reasoning goes like, well, how come they're allowing it? It's because they want to kill people, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of that's how conspiracy theories form. You know, you get misinformation, right? Misinformation from someone that you trust, like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Charlie Kirk,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you extrapolate through your own reasoning something that they didn't say. So Charlie Kirk didn't say that, you know, he did not straight out say that the vaccine was created to kill people. He didn't say that, right? Mm-hmm. Marjorie Taylor Greene alluded to it, but she didn't straight out say it either. But if you were someone who trusted what these people are telling you, right? If you're one of their viewers who actually, like, you know, believes them, then they kind of lead you to that conclusion. There's no other conclusion to say except, oh, well, they're doing it on purpose, right? And that's the insidious part about it. That's how conspiracy theories spread. That's how, like, this type of misinformation can get people killed. So somebody watching these assholes is going to turn around and be like, well, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it because 4,000 people died last week of it. You know?
Yeah.
When it's like, there's like no truth to that at all. You know, VAERS is not a scientific study. You know, it's basically just anybody can go there and report anything they want. And, you know, for example, I got a comment on my last video, the last stream that I did about, you know, anti-vaxxers. I got a guy that came on here and said that his friend died, right? Mm-hmm. And the comments are still there. If you guys ever want to, if you want to, you know, read this or whatever. Oh, sorry, it's a little louder? Okay, we'll be a little louder.
Okay.
The comments there are still there on my last video, right? About, you know, how this guy said that his best friend died of it, right? And I talked back to him like, oh, well, how did he die? And they go, well, 2 months after he got the vaccine, he died of a heart attack. Well, sorry, dude, but how do you know it was the vaccine that caused it? Now, you could say that if somebody, for example, got their dose and went into, like, say, anaphylactic shock or something and died right afterwards, that would be the cause of the vaccine, and that actually has happened. I don't know if when you got your vaccine, but when I got it, I had to wait around for a good 30 minutes. You know, they made us, you take it and then they make you wait.
Yeah.
And they're monitoring you to make sure that you don't go into anaphylactic shock.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's a thing that can happen. And that's happened a few times, but, you know, I don't think there's anybody who's actually died from that since they've been administering. I could be wrong there. Right. So it's sort of like, you know, they're aware of that type of problem. Right? So, what was I saying? Fuck. I lost my.
You had a commenter who said somebody died.
Oh yeah. So how does it follow that, you know, like if you take it and then 2 months later the guy dies of a heart attack? Like, where do you get that connection?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, he was otherwise healthy. Well, obviously, fucking he wasn't, or he wouldn't have died of a heart attack. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, how come it took 2 months for the vaccine to kill him? How come it just didn't happen right away after he took it? You know what I mean? Like, if he would have got it and then like 3 days later died of a heart attack, you can make that connection.
Yeah, but 2 months, that's the equivalent of, oh no, my friend died of cholesterol. He was hit by a car 8 years later.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah.
It doesn't follow, and it's because this person is sad and angry and wants to blame somebody, and it's like, you know, as human beings, we find patterns. We identify patterns, right? That's what we do. We're, you know, we're evolutionary predisposed into identifying patterns. It's a survival tactic, right? So, you know, something happened. Like, this is where, like, you know, magical thinking comes from. You know, where people start believing in things like good luck, or this is my good luck charm, or, you know, whatever, right? Something happens, you get a good result, you try to do the same things over and over to get that same result, you know? This is how people get superstitious, right? This is why people believe in fucking lucky rabbit's foot, and they believe why people get OCD. That's another thing. You know, you ever see these people that they say, like, they can't step on a crack in the sidewalk, or they have to knock 3 times when they open a door, or et cetera, shit like that. This is where all that shit comes from, and it's like, you know, it comes from our genetic evolutionary predisposition into identifying patterns, you know, as a way to explain the world. So that's getting people killed. It's really like, you know, this tendency, this thing that helped us survive during, like, you know, the fucking caveman days and shit, right, is now something that's holding back, like, modern, you know, society, preventing us from going forward because it helps people believe in fucking conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, that's most of the heavy shit I wanted to talk about. Anti-vaxxers are driving me nuts, folks. All of you out there, if you haven't been vaccinated yet, please get vaccinated. But why don't we take some time? Let's read a few. I guess we have a couple of comments here. It's already like 12:01, but I wanted to take some time and talk about some stuff that wasn't so heavy. You know.
Yeah. This is where it gets stupid.
So we're gonna kind of divert a little bit from our usual content, and we're gonna talk about movies and TV shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, because, you know, we need to lighten the mood.
Yeah, fun stuff. Happy Clown. Here's Wrath the Clown to end tonight's news broadcast. So.
Well, you know, it's like, if all you do is talk about doom and gloom, right? Then it has a way of creating lots of anxiety. So I told you that I was really into conspiracy theories, you know, as a younger person.
Yeah.
And well, I kind of had a sort of a moment of clarity, right?
a come to JFK moment.
Well, this is why. This is when I started to kind of get out of this stuff, right? So, right around 2004. So this is, yeah, it's about 15 years ago now. Like, I was like really super into this shit, you know. And although I never really truly believed in, like, say, the NWO stuff or whatever, I was I still was a kind of a true believer when it came to some of these things. You know, I was a 9/11 truther back in the day. I am embarrassed to admit that now.
Yeah.
You know, but I was, you know, because that was the biggest thing that everybody was talking about, and there was, like, you know, you had the loose change video where, like, the guy's showing video and it looks like bombs are going off, blah 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 blah, right? And I didn't know the actual science behind it, so I kind of thought that that might have been real. And then also as well, there was a lot of George W. Bush conspiracies, right? And a lot of people, for example, back then, I guess when it came to the conspiracy theory, what would you call it? The conspiracy theory, you know, crowd, you know what I mean? Community, right? Yeah. A lot of them really thought that George W. Bush was going to try to stay in office past his thing. And now I understand that that's an actual very common conspiracy, because they've pretty much said that about every president since him. They said the same thing about Obama. They said the same thing about Trump. Of course, Trump actually fucking tried to do it, you know.
He didn't mean to, Mark, though.
Oh, yeah. He just totally accidentally got all those people to try to attack the building and keep them from... You know. But still, it always kind of blew me away how, like, for the last 30 years or so, you know, because if you look back at all the conspiracy theory, you know, literature, this is actually said the same thing about Bill Clinton. You know, so they always claim that the current president is going to be the last president. He's going to be the one that introduces us into the NWO, and it's going to be a worldwide version of communist Russia or whatever, blah blah blah. And then it never happens. And then the one guy that actually tries to fucking do it, when it actually fucking happens, they all support him. Right? Yeah, no, that kind of blew me away.
Yeah, no, but, again, it's more, no offense to Mr. Onward to Dystopia, but yeah, there's a lot of hypocrites who do horrible things. Like, he meant it as a joke. You'll read it in a little bit. But
I see.
Yeah.
Violent hippo rights.
Yeah. But, no, there's a lot of hypocrites out there, because those same people... Yeah, they claim Russia's a communist nation and America's going to end up like that way. But you mention Putin, and all of a sudden it's like, don't make fun of my new dad. How dare you?
Oh, well,
he's cool.
I think he's talking about
hippo. No, he's
hippo rights from you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene's thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, no.
I think he's talking about that.
Yeah, that was a poorly handled joke on my end. That's your joke.
But you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So it's very like. Anyway, so getting back to my personal story here, I was really into this shit. And right around 2004, I kind of had an anxiety attack, right? I guess you would say. Where I kind of, I guess it was sort of an anxiety attack, you know, where I couldn't sleep because I just got finished, you know, watching, you know, lots of conspiracy theory content, you know. I think YouTube was brand new around that time. I think there was YouTube back then, but I think I was actually listening to Coast AM. That was like my main gig.
Yeah,
you know?
Okay, that would do it. So.
And, you know, and they were talking about, you know, government takeovers and blah, 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 and all this other shit.
Art Bell?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it was George Norrie was...
George Norrie, too,
at the time. And,
Back
and I had this
when conspiracy radio was fun,
exactly,
and wholesome,
before it was like, you know, completely right wing nutbaggery. There was still a lot of it though, but I actually had a little bit of a panic attack, and I couldn't sleep, and I was afraid of shit that was gonna happen. And, you know, all this stuff, and I was afraid, he's gonna take over the country, blah 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 blah. And then kind of like at like 3 a.m, as I was laying there unable to sleep, I was kind of thinking about it, and I was like, you know, this is kind of bullshit. What am I afraid of?
Yeah.
Right? And it was really that. And I kind of had this realization that I was like, wait a minute, is this really going to happen? You know, is he really going to, like, you know, is George W. Bush really going to send troops into the streets to blah, 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 blah? Because this is the kind of shit people were talking about, you know, that he was going to send Nazi fucking stormtroopers to go door to door, and, you know, all of this shit's going to happen. And I was like, you know what, I think, like, I remember thinking at the time that maybe I might have a problem, you know, and there's a lot of, and it's probably all bullshit. I remember thinking that too, like, probably thinking that, like, you know, I'm just gonna relax and see what happens, and I think that I'm kind of drinking the Kool-Aid a little too much, right? And that was the sort of the moment that I started to look at these things a little more objectively.
Yeah.
And I started to re-examine things, like all the shit that I believed. Because the whole reason why I got into this stuff in the first place was because of, like, Roswell and UFOs and stuff. Like, I used to really, as a kid, I used to really love reading about UFOs. And that was my introduction into the conspiracy theory community.
Those little gray-skinned Zetaculians are the gateway drugs, the darker and scarier things.
Exactly. You know. So, you know, and sure enough, you know, all the people screaming about how George W. Bush was going to take over the country, you know, he never did it. The election in 2008 went off without a hitch. You know, that wasn't a problem, right? And then I started kind of getting into, like, real politics. Like, well, you know, this was sort of like it was like the phony baloney politics that never actually, like, applied in real life. And I started kind of learning about, like, well, how does the world really work? How does how does the government really work and all that? I mean, I had a decent I had a decent understanding before that about, you know, civics and all that stuff. But now I started to actually pay attention to, like, well, who's getting elected? What's he, you know, what do they believe in? How does this work? How does that work? Et cetera, et cetera. So I can't really, you know, I can't really look back and say that it was all negative. You know, like, I think what it was is that I was just like focusing on the wrong things. You know, human beings, we want answers, right? We like to be able to explain the universe around us, and to have a pretty, you know, it's comforting to have a decent idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't have those answers, you'll fabricate it, you know, in your mind. You'll take whatever answers you can get, and if that answer is that lizard people are the ones that are controlling everybody from space rays that irradiate through satellites that are launched from the center of the Earth through a hole in Antarctica, which is not something I just made up.
Yeah.
Right, but people actually believe all of those things that I just said.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If that's the answer, then, you know... Oh, wait. Let's step backwards. That looks like shit. We're going to have to clean that up a little bit. You know, if that's the answer, then that's the answer people will gravitate towards. And they'll believe it, because unless you give them, you know... And even when you do give them, like, an alternate thing to believe, you have to convince them now. Like, if it's like, once people make up their minds, that's it. Right. Like, once somebody makes up their mind and they go, this is it, this is what I believe, it, you know, unless they come to a different realization by themselves, it's extremely hard to change someone's mind about something.
Yeah. And it's this, may I add?
Yeah.
It's especially bad when these fake comforting conspiracies get in the way of actual conspiracies, because there are no reptoids controlling the government. But like I said, it's easier to believe that there's supervillains and reptoids controlling the government than the unfortunate truth that no, it's a bunch of greedy people screwing over regular people to get more fame and fortune for themselves. Yeah,
exactly. It's easier to believe that, you know, you're being controlled by reptiles or Satan or something like that, or an evil you know, the cigarette smoking man or whatever, than to believe that a politician that you trust is ripping you off and it's all about money. You know?
Yeah.
Exactly. I definitely agree with that 100%. Anyway, so how do we even get on this subject? I don't even know.
We were trying to talk about fun, happy stuff.
So yeah. So getting back to all this, this is why it's important to talk to, you know, sometimes you gotta just like have fun and get rid of some of this anxiety, because if all you talk about is doom and gloom and crazy shit and bad stuff and environmental destruction, blah 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 blah, then
it gives you a bunch of like mental and physical stress you don't need.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're gonna be stuck at 3 a.m. unable to sleep because, you know, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So instead of that, we should talk about He-Man.
Well, do you want to go over some comments before we go on to, or you want to save that for the end?
Let's save the comments to the end. If you guys have any other comments that you want to put in, we got about 12:30, so we got about another half hour.
Okay.
So yeah, folks, you guys know if you've seen my other channel that I am a massively huge fan of Masters of the Universe. And I guess this kind of fits a little because there's a little bit of a political element to this too, so we can talk about that as well.
Yeah, supposedly according to the whiny fanboy.
Yeah. So we just had the Masters of the Universe Revelations show that just came out on Netflix, and I got finished just marathoning that last night. In fact, I'm going to do a review video on my other channel probably tonight or tomorrow. And I thought it was fantastic. I don't know. It was pretty much everything I could have asked for in a Masters of the Universe cartoon. You know, I really liked the character designs. Number one, like, you know, they're very toy accurate. That was really cool. Right. The writing I thought was phenomenal. You know, because you know, Kevin Smith can be very wordy, right? I mean, if you watch his movies, like his movies are not very big on action. They're mainly about people standing around talking.
Dogma and Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back are some of the greatest action adventure movies cinema has ever given us. Equal to Lawrence of Arabia smokes outside a convenience store. That's one of my all-time favorite films.
But you know, like Dogma, for example, right? There's a part in Dogma where the Golgothan shows up, you know, the shit demon, and those gangsters go to fight it, and basically all of the action takes place off screen, and you just see everybody's stunned reactions to it, and then they cut back to the demon and all the gangsters are dead, and it's like, dude, what the hell? You just like had this action sequence that you completely avoided filming, and I don't know, maybe it was because it was expensive. Maybe he didn't want to do an action sequence. I don't know. Right? So I was a little afraid that, okay, it was going to be like that. But no, there was a lot of good action. You know, the fight between He-Man and Skeletor, for example, at the beginning was really cool.
Yeah.
And in each episode, I noticed that they would have these little flashbacks. Right, so you had like the current story that was going on, right, where you know, Eternia is in trouble and the magic is disappearing and Tila is trying to get everybody together to go save the world, and then you had these sort of flashbacks where it was like, you know, in the past, her and He-Man hanging out and fighting Skeletor, and like the flashbacks were very much more akin to the old Filmation show. You know, like they would have him on a boat and then he's fighting Merman, and then like, you know, He-Man cracks a silly joke afterwards, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was very much, it was like showing this good memory that could have been right out of the Filmation show. And then they cut back to the modern day and it's all gritty and everybody's angry at each other, blah 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 blah. And I thought that was really cool. That sort of like, you know, contrast between, like, say they had like the salad days, and now like real life is, you know, now real life is happening and shit is hitting the fan. So I thought that was great.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, it's like, yeah, it's a little more dark and gritty because this is basically, I don't want to use the term post-apocalyptic, but it is attorney on some weakened legs.
Yeah.
So things aren't as sunny or as bright as beforehand. But at the same time, they still kept relatively true to the original show.
Yeah.
So it was still adventurous and enjoyable, even if there was some grim stuff going on. So, because I think there's been way worse examples of taking something that was meant to be light and fluffy, regardless if it was well written or not, and then presenting it as scary and mean-spirited. It's like, although the only example I can think of is Toons Unleashed, where they tried making a X-Men style superhero team out of the Looney Tunes.
Toons Unleashed?
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
It's a good thing you didn't.
Not very good, huh?
Yeah, or worse, when like somebody takes Superman and decides to go all Batman with them, like the Zack Snyder movies. I know you're way more forgiving of those than I am, but...
Right.
Yeah, but no, I thought they did a good job balancing the dark and the light, and it was still an adventurous romp, but it still had dramatic stakes into it. So
yeah,
and it's like, what is it? Yeah, like a good example is when things get dark, it doesn't get ridiculously dark. Like it's still believable within the world of Masters of the Universe. Like we meet Scareglow,
which was awesome, by the way.
Yeah. He's basically the attorney's equivalent to the Grim Reaper or the Devil.
Exactly.
Yet at the same time, he's still kind of camping it up with that wonderful design of his.
Totally.
Yeah. So no, I thought it was a very good balance. The only thing that the haters kind of touched upon, was I think Tila's character was maybe a little too abrasive. Like I can totally understand. Yeah. Sorry about that. I had a high pitch there for a moment.
That's all right.
I can totally understand why she would be upset that a major secret was held against her like that. But at the same time, I don't like. I'm glad that when she's reunited with Prince Adam later in the series, despite the fact that she's still apprehensive and upset, she's not to a disability. No, not dispailing. Darn it, what's the word?
Disparaging
point where she still can't hang out with her reunited friend.
Right.
So yeah, which is something I rarely see in modern fiction. Like if characters have disagreements, it leads to blood feuds or sitcom style shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a little bit of animosity between them. Like, she's still pissed that he lied to her, but...
Yeah.
So, speaking of Tila, okay, so that's kind of the main
Are we going to go into spoilers here? Or?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Okay, yeah.
But, that was kind of the main backlash from the fandom, is that Tila is rather, she's not feminine enough looking. And this is the same thing that you get from the same kind of, like, comic gate, sort of gamer gate, like incel type people.
Yeah.
The people that got mad that She-Ra's boobs weren't big enough, or that and they're even
Lola
angry.
Bunny wasn't sexier.
Yeah, that in Space Jam, Lola Bunny like isn't like doesn't have bigger boobs.
Yeah.
It seems like they always care about how big their boobs are.
And yet when they actually get like sexy female characters in fiction, they completely ignore it and whine about something else.
It's exactly. It's like, I can't masturbate to this, so this is bad, And the thing is like, so people were pissed at that. There's also people that were angry that she was the main character in the first place. It's like you get one segment of people, and it's kind of strange to me how these people act, because half of them are mad that she's not sexy enough. The other half are mad that she's even in it to begin with.
Yeah.
Which is like, that kind of blows me away there, right? And the thing about that, it's like, well, okay, so yeah, she is rather people are saying that she's not feminine enough, right? Well, and she is very buff. Like if you watch the show, she's buff, but she's also the captain of the guard, so it fits her character that she wouldn't be like a small petite weakling kind of, no, she would be, she'd have muscles. She works out every day. She kicks ass. So that's her main thing. That fits. People were pissed at her haircut because they gave her like a modern haircut, right? which is like, that's dumb. That's just the dumbest thing I can ever imagine. Like,
no, the character is technically like a freelance treasure hunter, so yeah, she's gonna have to be a little rough in the appearance.
You know, but it's sort of like, you know, they basically turned her into a strong female, like in the old He-Man cartoon. Teela is not necessarily a damsel in distress in the Filmation show, but more than once, He-Man has to end up saving her. They kind of do fill that, like, she does sort of fill that role whenever it's convenient in the old Filmation show.
Although, to be fair, in the old Filmation show, everybody was rescuing somebody at some point.
Yeah. But she definitely was that kind of, oh, Teela got kidnapped, oh, Teela's in the magic cage or whatever. That happens more than once. Although
the purple zombie Smurfs have kidnapped her.
Exactly. Right. So, yeah, people were mad at that. And then, of course, these are the same people who, you know, there's one little line, one scene where they kind of hint that Teela and her friend, her name's like Adra, I think.
Yes.
They hint that there may be a little bit more going on than meets the eye to their relationship. One scene where she like reaches over and holds her hand, right? And people lost their minds over that too. So I'm just kind of looking at, you know, the reactions from the fandom, and that was kind of predictable also, right? However, there's no indication in the show that Teela's gay. You know, she once Adam comes back, she's actually kind of mostly cool with it. And they actually kind of allude that she has a thing for, you know, has some lingering feelings about Adam and He-Man in particular. And that was the thing, because in the Filmation show, which this is supposed to be a continuation of the Filmation show, right? It's supposed to be in the same continuity. In the Filmation show, she was obviously in love with He-Man. Right, that was just like something that, you know, was well known, right? So that makes perfect sense that she would be, you know, now conflicted because the guy that was the object of her affection lied to her and she's pissed and blah blah blah, and more so she blames herself, she couldn't save him, whatever, blah 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 blah, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, so at most Teela may be bisexual, and that's causing a lot of people to lose their minds as well, you know.
Yeah, which is funny to say because it's really not that big point of the whole program.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, again, it's mostly an adventure series that has those elements in it.
Right. It doesn't come up at all. That's the thing. It's not even a thing that they say in the show, like, at all, right? So it's just one, like, she just holds her hand. Well, you can hold somebody's hand and not want to have sex with them, right?
Yeah.
So people lose their minds over the dumbest fucking things. I don't know. There's always got to be somebody out there that has to politicize everything.
Yeah.
You know, like, people just don't know how to just enjoy shit anymore.
Yeah, and there's worse examples of, like, pandering to the... I hate this terminology because there's probably way better words and terminology to use, but the woke culture, whatever they're calling it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's way worse examples of it. Like, you know, what we saw with the Star Wars movies, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, no, I watched the series. All I got out of it was a good adventure series where the stakes are leveled up, because this is, like you said, meant to be a continuation of the original series.
Yeah.
And that, but, you know, things are kind of getting to its darkest hours. So, like the series finale we never had from the original Filmation cartoon.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, but yeah, no, it was just mostly good adventure elements. Even if things got scary, it was never bogged down by the wokeness or the grim and gritty, which I appreciated a lot. It could have been way worse. And it's funny too, because these same people really didn't have a problem with the wondrous flying rainbow creature that was She-Ra and the Princesses of Power.
Oh, well,
yeah, that.
Well, I mean, a lot of them did.
Yeah,
there was a lot of.
Yeah, but not to the extent they're doing with poor Teela in this series. So
there was a lot, though. I mean, there was a lot of you know, I guess uproar in the fandom over She-Ra, right? Because that show, they don't try to hide anything.
Yeah.
You know. And well, they kind of did in the first couple of seasons of She-Ra. They kind of had to dance around the LGBTQ elements a little.
Relatively speaking. Yeah.
But by the last season, it was just like everybody was out and you know, they're straight up kissing and shit like that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's I think you said it best. All the ships went sailed.
Oh, you watched my watched my video on it.
Yeah.
All the ships sail on that. Yeah.
But
yeah, it was. I mean, the thing about She-Ra is it's kind of a different story, you know, which actually kind of makes me think. I'm wondering what's going on with, you know, because if this is canon to the old Filmation shows, well, She-Ra is canon then too.
Yeah, but
so what happened with She-Ra? Is She-Ra still around? Can she not transform anymore? Like.
Well, okay, yeah, because you know about the whole legal copyright stuff that kind of keeps She-Ra from going to He-Man and vice versa.
Yeah, which sucks. It's too bad that they're not going to be able to cross them over.
Yeah, it's very much like how Godzilla can occasionally hang out and fight with King Kong, but not all the time.
Right.
Yeah,
there's reasons, you know.
Yeah.
So that's sort of, I mean, I would like to see, I don't know, because there's obviously going to be a few more, you know, at least 5 more episodes. It would be cool to see, you know, maybe at least an Easter egg or something about She-Ra and Etheria and the evil Horde. I would really like to see the evil Horde.
They did mention the Horde briefly in episode 4.
Right, they said Hero was fighting the Horde.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That would be cool. It'd be cool to see the Snake Men. I don't know how big of a He-Man fan you were, but...
You know, it's funny. I'm nowhere near. Like, I'm looking at your room right now. It's amazing the sheer number of figures you have.
Oh.
So thankfully, it's still manageable. It's not like some of these comic book fans where, what's going to happen when you die?
Oh.
Where are we going to bury all this?
All of this shit is, you know.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Cammy's gonna sell it all when I kick the bucket.
Oh yeah, but let her make some money. So
I'm gonna have to make sure I have my collection, you know, nice and you know, I'll have to have everything cataloged with relative values and what you can expect to get from it.
Oh yeah.
You know, so that way she doesn't get ripped off when she sells it all when I die in 30 years.
But no, you are definitely way more, like, you are more of a He-Man fan than I ever was. I would occasionally watch the cartoon with my brothers, but we were more real Ghostbusters and Thundercats and
really?
Yeah, and old monster movie kids.
Right on.
So
yeah, I mean, the thing is, it was always the toys.
Yeah.
Like, I like the show, but I like the toys way more. I mean, I was kind of like the perfect age for it when it first came out. You know, I think I was 6 years old in 1982 or something like that. Yeah, 6 years old. So that was like, you know, those things when they first arrived, they were like nothing else. That's what made it so cool. And even the cartoon, the old cartoon, it was a lot more campy than like the original toys were like kind of gritty. You know? They were like Conan sort of, and then you would see the artwork on the toys.
And some of the early commercials too before the show was created. It feels very much in that old pulp.
Totally.
Yeah, Conan the Barbarian, but also a lot of Flash Gordon thrown in.
Yeah, like the artwork on the packaging, it looked like Frazetta paintings, you know, which was crazy. Like, because I remember I had this book. In fact, I still have it right here. This book here, The Fantastic Art of Frank Frazetta.
Yes,
right?
That's my book.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Anyway, this book here, check it out. That's a book that my dad gave to me years and years and years ago. And it has pictures, you know, paintings by Frank Frazetta, and they're like lots of, you know, covers to like Conan books and stuff. And then I remember seeing, like, you know, then I'm a kid and I'm in Toys R Us, and it's like, here's like fucking toys that look just like this book that I have at home. You know what I mean? That's what really attracted me to it, because it was like, oh man, this castle, you know, big castle with skulls on it and all this stuff. So that's why I was like really into it. And even the old Filmation show was a lot more kid friendly. You know, you had things like Orko and shit like that, but even still, it was still really good. So I don't know. I was very, very happy to see that this show was like very well done, And if any of you guys at home, if you're, you know, any of you guys watching it, if you're into anime in general, like animation, or things like, you know what? I would say this show reminds me more of, like, say, Avatar, or something like that, or maybe the Netflix reboot of Voltron. Reminds me a lot of that. You know what I mean? A lot closer to those, like a modern interpretation than not so much the original He-Man show, because the original Filmation show is actually kind of crappy. I don't know if you've seen it recently. It's definitely for kids, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is much more geared towards adults. It's got some good themes in it. It actually has a very strong environmental theme as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole idea of magic as a stand-in for climate change.
Yeah,
That's,
I didn't even notice that, now that you mention it.
Yeah, that's definitely, you know, because it's kind of like a little poignant to what's going on today, you know, like they use magic, like the magic is over, it's a resource that's over, and now that this resource is gone, the whole planet is suffering, and it's the same kind of shit that we're going through right now. There's, you know, plagues and fucking, you know, droughts, and, like, you know, a fucking wacky religious cult pops up in the show. We're seeing plenty of that in real life.
I never knew Triclops had it in them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really cool. It's got some cool adult themes. But anyway, we're at about 1 o'clock. Let's read some of the comments here. Lewis the Hedgehog. Let's see. Is someone with you? Yeah. By the way, so if you guys at home don't know, this is my friend Inshoma. He has his own YouTube channel. In fact, let me put a link to it. Is it just? Let me see.
Yeah, it's better. Sometimes YouTube has it just Inshoma, other times less so.
How do you spell it again?
Enchma.
Sorry, what?
No, there's an H between the O and the M.
O and the M. Another H.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. This is your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
So I will put a link to his channel down in the chat.
If you want more fun, Mark, come down to my channel. So.
Yeah. My friend Raph here in Shoma, also does live streams, and occasionally me and him, like, I'll join him, you know, once in a while as well. So.
Yeah. No, we if you want to hear more Mark, I did a live stream show called Live Stream of Consciousness. The title itself is called Miss Blue's Ship of Theseus.
Oh yeah, that one was funny.
Yeah, and you hung around for the full 4 hours with a bunch of other friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to see Mark cut loose and we all make a bunch of silly gags.
That was the one where we were making fun of, you know, Bill Cosby. That was classic.
Oh yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and then we talk about Star Trek for like a good 60 minutes.
Yeah,
and then I love the part where we start talking about, remember the good old days when you say Nazis suck, people would usually agree with you.
Exactly.
And your reaction was, how can you say something so controversial yet bold?
So anyway, yeah, if you want to see us talk about, you know, talk about movies and TV shows and mostly non-political stuff, even though some of it does kind of creep in there, because everything is about politics nowadays. Please check us out on his channel. Let's see, more comments. Lewis the Hedgehog. They complain about vaccine passports, yet they enforce it themselves. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And it's because it's all just a ploy. It's a ploy to, you know, get their base angry and keep them angry, so that when the you know, midterms come along, they have an energized base. You know, something I saw actually a video on this too. You notice how usually in the past, Republicans use spending as a wedge. They would say, well, whenever a Democrat wants to try to pass a law, they would say, it costs too much, blah, blah, blah. Who's going to pay for it? And they would use that as a way to hold up things from getting passed, right? They don't really seem to be doing that now. And it's kind of strange. They've sort of abandoned that area of attack, right? This is what they did with Obama for 4 years. You know, you had the sequester, remember that? And then you had the fiscal cliff, and you had all of this other stuff, and then they would like refuse to raise the debt ceiling limit, blah 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 blah, right? They're not doing that anymore, and it's because people just went through a whole year of not being able to work, and they passed the stimulus package. And it was like even their own president, Trump, was passing stimulus packages.
Yeah.
Right. So they can't...
Infamously, something that Mitch McConnell tried to go against.
Right.
So.
But not when Trump was doing it, you know.
Oh no, I think he did it once when Trump tried to do it.
Oh, was he?
That led to a bunch of people egging and graffitiing over his house.
That's right. He pushed back and said it was too much, and then some people actually went and protested at his house.
Yeah, right? Exactly. They did to him what they did to Pelosi when she tried doing that same thing.
Forgot about that.
So yeah.
But so now that it's because, you know, those are very, very popular, you know, policies, and it's like, you know, even the conservatives out there, even the Republicans kind of understand that, well, when people can't work because of a pandemic, they need money somehow, right?
Yeah.
So if you can't work, then, you know, how are you going to live if you don't get some help? So even and a lot of the conservatives out there, the same people out there that would, like, you know, do everything, they would never support, like, you know, a Democrat or a liberal or whatever, or a progressive. Even those guys understand that, okay, well, the government wants to give me some money, I'm going to take it. And those stimulus programs were very highly popular. You know, they had like an 85% approval rating from, like, the general populace, right? So now you're seeing they've kind of abandoned that reign of attack. So now, like, when they want to do things like they want to do the infrastructure bill, and they want to do all this stuff, they're not focusing on any of that. They're not saying, okay, well, this is too expensive, whatever, right? And instead of doing their usual line of attack, you know, their fiscal, you know, objections, they're focusing on other sort of culture war stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, you know, they're focusing on things like Dr. Seuss books and Mr. Potato Head and trans women in sports and all of these other ridiculous little things. And then, you know, for a little while it was illegal immigration too. You know, they're saying, oh, we have all this crisis at the border, and turned out there was, you know, it was just the usual normal how the border always is and stuff like that. And, you know, critical race theory and all this other baloney, right? And it seems like anti-vaccinations have just become another step.
Yeah.
In that, it's just another thing that they can use.
Another diversion.
Because they don't have anything, and it's like, well, you know, if they actually tried to talk policy, you know, then you would have to say, well, what's your alternative policy, right? Like, so they don't want to spend money on infrastructure. Well, then we need infrastructure. The bridges are falling apart, shit like that.
Yeah.
Right? We need to spend this money. We've been trying to, you know, this is actually something Obama tried to do too. He tried to get an infrastructure bill passed, and it got blocked, right? So now it's sort of like, well, what do you guys have to offer? Okay, you don't want to spend $4 trillion. What do you have? And they don't have anything. And it's kind of become obvious, you know, like, for example, like healthcare is another example, you know. Through the Obama years, it was like, well, we want to replace and repeal Obamacare, blah 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 blah, and then they get in charge and they don't actually do anything. They don't, you know, they have the Senate and the Senate and the House and the presidency for 2 years, and they never repeal Obamacare. It was perfectly within their you know, ability, and it's like, how come they didn't do it? Because they don't actually have any solutions, right? Because it was all bullshit. It was all bullshit, and that's sort of like, you know, it was all bullshit they were doing just to get elected, just to keep power, and it's become so obvious even to Republicans now. So now they just have to come up with more bullshit. That's kind of all they have to offer is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like there's no solutions coming from these fucking people.
Yeah.
All they care about is, so all they can do is just go around and now it's anti-vaxxing stuff. And, you know, in 2 months it's going to be something else. They're going to find some other thing to distract from, you know,
the real issues.
Exactly. So anyway,
that's why I kept referring to them as diversionary.
Exactly, yeah. That's all they're doing is diverting. They're just trying to divert and, like, trying to keep people angry, you know?
Yeah.
Is what it seems to be. Let's see. Danacat loves me. That mushroom looks a little bit too anatomical, if you know what I mean. Are you talking about this mushroom back here?
Oh, yeah. Okay, that does look a little... Because I don't buy into that theory that everything looks like a phallic, but yeah, that's a little questionable.
You maybe will put some plants in front of that one.
Yeah, or just lessen the stem.
You could just
something.
put some bushes and two big rocks next to it.
Yeah. No, I would say just go ahead and lessen the stem, so it looks more like just like umbrella than what you got there.
It's starting to come together a little bit, though.
Yeah.
You notice I have to fill in. There's a lot. This is actually something we'll probably be working on for like 5 or 6 streams.
Yeah, it's going to be a great convention print when you're finished with it.
I think it's coming together.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll hide that a little bit. That might be a little too phallic.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another comment. Dynacat loves me. I don't agree. China handled it as badly as we did. What they did was brutal but effective. They were late to act, which did let it spread out from China, but when they acted, they were serious. That's kind of an advantage that, you know, an authoritarian state like that has. They can force people to you know, obey, right? I do think that because there actually is some evidence that they vastly underreported their number of dead, for example. That's definitely, I think that's definitely true. I think there is evidence that say like maybe twice as many people died there than what they said. But you are correct, Dedicat. Like you're very correct that when it came time, they were able to enact lockdown measures, for example, and back it up with the force of basically state terror. And you know, it's great that they were able to confine the virus and all that other shit, but like, I'm kind of glad that we don't have that sort of brutal tactics here. Like I guess that's sort of the price of freedom. It's on the one hand, you know, there are people in the United States who are not doing the logical thing in order to protect themselves and others, right? But on the other hand, it's like, do we really want the government putting people in jail if they don't lock down, if they don't wear masks? Like, for example, in New York City, if you get caught wearing a mask outside during the lockdowns, you could get a ticket, right? I don't see anything wrong with that. I think a city should be able to give you a ticket for a reason such as this if you're not paying attention to public health, right?
Yeah.
But in China, that same person can get thrown in prison.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little too far. So although technically, you know, I guess it's sort of like at what point does it stop becoming benevolent? You know?
Yeah.
Like, another thing, like China can force everybody to get vaccinated. And while that would be great and that ends the problem, like I'm glad that that the government here doesn't force people to take it, you know? But I think at the same time, there's a lot of things that we should be doing to encourage vaccinations. Like my stream last week was all about various laws that are being passed to support people who don't want to get vaccinated.
Right.
And we should be doing the opposite. You know, like they're doing things like, okay, well, you know, you can no longer, a school can no longer enforce vaccination rules. That's the opposite of what should be happening, right? School should, you know, it should be the other way around. It should be like, if you want to be in a public school, you have to get vaccinated. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, like, that's not the same as arresting someone if they don't get vaccinated, you know, like forcing your kid to get a vaccine to go to school. You know, that's just kind of something that's kind of how it's always been. You know, like, you can't go to school if you don't have, say, a measles vaccination, for example. So how come a COVID vaccination is not the same? You know what I mean? Like, or you have to be vaccinated against like polio or whatever. Well, I don't even think polio anymore, but like, you know, like measles, like whooping cough is another one.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have these in order to be in public school. Well, now they're passing laws saying that, okay, you can, you know, still have to get all of those, but not the COVID one. Like, yeah, the one fucking disease that's killing, like, you know, 500,000 people in the country is the one they're not requiring a vaccine for. So that's kind of, I guess that's where, personally, I think the state does have that right. You know, like there, or like, say, if you're going to be a doctor, if you're going to work in a hospital, the state should be able to tell you to get vaccinated.
Right.
You know, like if you're just some you know, Joe Blow and you work in your fucking wherever you work and you don't want to get vaccinated, then they shouldn't be able to force you to get it, but they should be able to take these basic common sense like measures for public safety. You know?
Yeah. Or it's like even a compromise. If you're not gonna get vaccinated, then you got to make up for it somehow else. I know I said that wrong. So,
like, what do you mean? Like, they have to wear a mask or something?
Oh yeah, definitely. Or at least, you know, I don't know. It is difficult. If I was to pick one or another, I would go vaccinated.
Right.
So we got vaccinated. Nothing horrible happened to us. Oh, heart attack.
2 months later.
Yeah.
Heart attack 2 months later. You know. So yeah, like, I don't know. I mean, but I don't think that's a weakness. I think that we can control it by, you know, without forcing people to get it. It's just, you know, we have to be smart about it. You know, we shouldn't be we shouldn't be making it easy for people to spread it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And sadly, a lot of these people, they claim they're doing it for good political reasons, but a lot of it's just a bunch of little psychopaths being selfish babies or something, for lack of a better term.
You know, like, and there are legitimate reasons to not get vaccinated. You know, you have a pre-existing condition that prevents you from, you know, your doctor says not to get it because you have an immune deficiency or something.
Yeah, but if you make that choice, at least man up elsewhere. You know, wear the mask, make sure you try to be safe in other regards.
Yeah.
But no, a lot of these people, you know, they don't want to do anything just because they're being told.
Exactly. It's like there's always going to be like that segment of the population that will just do the opposite of what is like, you know, they won't do it because the government told them to do it, you know, or they won't do it because a Democrat told them to do it, or they won't do it because, you know, XYZ. They want to, for whatever reason, they want to pwn the liberals until, even if it results in them dying, they don't care. Like, that was the other, did you see that, there was like a video that went around about a doctor who was talking about how people were begging for vaccines when they're like about to get like intubated. Did you see that?
No, I did not see
So
that.
there was like a story that was kind of in the news for the last couple of days of what it is they intubated is when they put a tube through your throat so that you could breathe, right? And people are like, you know, honestly, I mean, yeah, that sounds horrible. You got to breathe through a tube in your mouth.
Yeah, okay.
And you're awake, and, you know, so you're trying not to gag or whatever, right? And people are like, okay, give me the vaccine. You know, I don't want to do this. Give me the vaccine. And the doctor was like, well, it's too late.
Yeah,
it's too late now.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you saw that, right?
Yeah, that is incredibly tragic.
And it's just sort of like, well, fuck, man. Maybe if you would have, like, you know, and that tells me that people don't know what vaccines are for. It's like, no, you can't. It's not a cure. You know, it's to prevent you from getting it in the first place. You can't take it when you're already sick and like expect to like not be sick anymore.
Yeah, no, it's like I'm way more empathetic. It's like it's sad that some of these people are dying more out of ignorance, because not all of them are selfish bullies who, you know, use nihilism and selfishness to justify their own personal needs or wants. Like some of them just don't know how these things work, unfortunately, and well, we're seeing the result now, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know, like a lot of people just don't have the, you know, they just don't know they don't have the scientific background, you know, or they just
Yeah.
never paid attention about how it works or whatever. Or,
Yeah, and it also doesn't help that
Exactly.
this country is so anti-science, even when it's coming from the Democratic side too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, like we should never underestimate the capacity for ignorance in the general populace. And I know that was just a very arrogant sort of liberal thing to say. Kind of sounds like I'm smelling my own farts here when I say that.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, and I know, yeah, but
but it's true, dude. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it's true. I don't mean to be a dick, you know, about it, but, you know.
no, don't worry, Mark. You're one of the good liberals. I've met bad liberals.
But, you know, most people
Yeah,
just don't pay attention to shit.
Yeah.
Most people are like, you know, here, this is a mailbox kind of sort of. Most people are just like, you know, most people don't pay attention to politics. Most people don't pay attention to anything. They maybe see something on the news or whatever. Maybe they read like the headline of a newspaper. They don't actually read a newspaper, or like
Yeah.
they'll read a headline of like a magazine they see in the grocery store or something.
Yeah.
Newsweek, whatever. And it's like, you know, most people don't actually get past page 1, right?
Yeah.
And this is where they're getting their information from, and then, you know, then they like hear some fucking talking head guy on you know, the radio, or Charlie Kirk or whatever, just using him as an example, right? And, you know, he sounds like someone who knows what he's talking about, so they'll like believe it, and maybe that kind of fits their predisposed political views as well,
Yeah.
you know.
And
So
I take back some of the things I say, because yeah, if it was one thing where it's just their decision not to get it and there'd be no consequence other than their lives, then yeah, that's their lives taken into it. But like you said, other people are being affected by it, and that's the unforgivable part.
exactly.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of like, I want to see the boat sink, but everyone else is going to drown with you. I don't care. I want to see the boat sink. So
It's the same type of attitude where people refuse to consider any type of, like, say,
the bigger picture.
yeah, like environmental concerns. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
where people go like, well, I don't care. I want to drive my huge giant like
Yeah.
SUV or whatever. I don't give a shit about pollution, blah blah blah. Or even like you get these guys like those coal roller guys that pollute on purpose.
Yeah, but
Shit like that. It's like because it doesn't affect them directly, so they think it's okay. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, no, you're actually screwing up everybody else. You know?
Yeah, no, it's like the old joke the unpopular joke they used to say in like the Pentagon or like in NORAD, where a scientist tells a general the world is about to be hit by a meteorite and it's going to kill everyone on it. General says, well, I don't care as long as my house isn't affected.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of terrible mentality.
Like, what about the rest of the world, asshole? Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And completely missing the point that when the meteor hits, it's going to kill everything. And your reaction is, well, as long as it doesn't affect me, I don't care. So,
Totally.
Yeah, you'd really have to have your head up your proverbial behind to have that kind of attitude.
That's what we see, unfortunately, from a lot of conservatives, though. It's like it doesn't affect them directly, right?
Yeah. And Americans in general, and people in general, and humans in general, this goddamn bloody planet.
So, let's see. Some more comments.
Okay.
Lewis the Hedgehog, now that you have, not that you have to, but could you discuss the full potential of Sonic the Hedgehog to your co-host or to everyone else here? No, okay. So, Lewis has a really, you know, actually, Lewis, if you want, we could do a stream if you want to like call in or something, because Lewis has a very good sort of, you know, I guess, like I wouldn't call it a theory. It's more of like a
speculation. No.
Yeah, it's more of like a I guess I'm not exactly sure how to put it, Lewis. It'd probably be better if you explain it yourself, you know?
Yeah.
But apparently in Sonic the Hedgehog fandom, you know, like, well, not just fandom, but in the canon of the comic books and things like that, it's a much more mature sort of like world that could lead itself to stories that are a lot more like profound.
No, okay,
than
like
what
what they were
is.
trying to do with Sonic, the Saturday morning cartoon version of Sonic.
Right.
Okay.
You know, like there's a lot of themes where it comes to things like mind control and like environmentalism and stuff like that. You know, that to be honest, I don't really know much about it.
Me neither.
Really. But Lewis, if one of these days, if you're still listening, if you're interested, I wouldn't mind doing a stream if you want to talk about it. You know, that'd be kind of cool. Like if you ever want to, and maybe we can set it up, and if you can, like, you know, we could do it over Skype or something.
Yeah. Are you a big Sonic fan, or
me?
Yeah. Or are you just more familiar with the character than I am? Because,
I'm more familiar with the video games.
Yeah, because I'm all about Airman from Mega Man 2. I don't know anything else about video games, so.
I'm much more into. I do have some of the quite a few of the Sonic video games. You know, mostly like the earlier ones, and then also Sonic Adventure from like Dreamcast.
Yeah.
And a few of the other ones I have, like Sonic Colors, and you know. But I was never really that into the like comics or the TV show and stuff, so I can't really speak to you know. But he does make a good point. Like actually, I have some discussions with Lewis the Hedgehog here.
Okay.
You know, in other venues, and he makes a good point about how there's a lot more like potential for really profound stories and adult themes through the whole thing. You know, from lots of different areas too, lots of different angles. You know,
that's a good point, because back in the 90s there were two separate Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons airing on American television. The weekday syndicated show, which was just pure Tex Avery style stupidity and madness, for lack of a better term.
Right.
And then there was the Saturday morning playing on the major network version, which, like you said, tackled more serious subject matter. Relatively speaking, we're still talking 90s cartoons here. It's not It's not as profound as some of the stuff we get today. So.
Right.
Okay, but yeah, I can. All right, as long as it's not like him trying to shill like his own original Sonic character. No offense, Lewis. If we all have our own original characters, but sometimes the Sonic community can get a little extreme in that regard.
Yeah. No, it's actually really good. We should definitely do it. Me and you, Lewis. You know, one of these days, if you want to, if you want to, like, you know, because I mean, the thing that you wrote and shared with me, Lewis, is it has a lot of depth to it, and I don't think I could do it justice, you know, myself. It would be better if, you know, it'd be better to come from like the expert. So.
Right. I won't be there that night, unfortunately.
But let's see. Let's see. Blah 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 blah. Is your co-host Galen?
What? In the sense that I'm from Europe and a magical woodland fairy? What's going on?
Galen? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either. Nor will we.
Okay, I think Galen is another YouTuber, I think.
Okay.
Or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not that popular. Now we're going to get trouble with this new person here.
What do we got? Video Matt Presents. Hey, that's a new person. I don't think I've seen you before, Video Matt Presents. Thank you for joining. Hey, man, this is America at the end of the day. I got the vax, but if people don't, let them be. Nice art, though. Oh, thank you.
Okay, it's a good thing you're safe, at least.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing about it. It's like, all we can do is encourage people.
Yeah.
You know, we can't force people to do something they don't want to do, obviously. Yeah. But, you know, we don't have to make it easy for them. You know what I mean? We don't have to, you know, we shouldn't be passing, like, I mean, I guess we just sort of just talked about this, you know. We should be doing what we can to encourage them, because ultimately it helps all of us, right? It helps us all get back to normal, you know, to help us all go out and, you know,
and
get jobs. And, I mean, shit, you want to lower taxes, right? Well, we can't lower taxes if nobody's working.
Yeah.
That's just not how it works, you know, like, we're going to have to spend money in order to help people, right? We're going to have to give them more stimulus. In fact, I actually just got another stimulus. I don't know, did you get one?
Not yet.
I just got like another $500 from the IRS. It just showed up, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's great."
Remember back in 2019 when the IRS were still considered scary, and now they're making Pokemon plush toys based on IRS agents?
I know, totally. So like, you know, but if you want that stuff to end, like, even if you're like, say, if you're a conservative, right, and you believe in small government and you want low taxes, blah blah blah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want that stuff, then we need to be able to go back to normal economic activity.
Yeah.
And the only way that's going to happen is as if we get this pandemic under control, and the only way that's going to happen is if people get fucking vaccinated. So it all kind of comes back to like people need to be vaccinated, you know.
Yeah, and also more importantly, we don't want more people to die needlessly.
Exactly. We don't want people, no more, there's been enough death in the country already, fucking. Anyway, let's see, where are we at? Video Matt presents, have you done mushrooms or you draw them? I did mushrooms once. I'm a little too old for hallucinogens now. I have not done any hallucinogenic drugs in over 20 years at this point. So, but I was actually always more into LSD actually, and I only did mushrooms one time. It was a very mild high. I don't know if you've ever done shrooms, but
I did shrooms once. I was at a wizard convention back in '94, and I met this wonderful woman named Maggie Shroom. She was a toadstool fairy. We fell in love. It was a very passionate affair. Her biology was a little weird because she was a mushroom woman, but yeah. Oh wait, you mean as drug substance? Okay, never mind. I'm sorry, that was dark.
So you've never done
I
shrooms.
apologize, everyone. So,
you've never done.
No, I kissed mushrooms and shared romantic feelings, but no, I've never.
Okay. I don't know.
I'm faking, by the way. There's no such thing as a wizard convention.
You ever do LSD?
No, the only time I've kind of stayed away from drugs and alcohol.
Good. Drugs are bad.
Yeah,
Yes.
mostly because my experience with people who constantly do drugs and alcohol are not pleasant, and not in the sense that I got physically abused by a drunken father or anything, but in the sense that I go to conventions and artist meetings and everyone's drunk off their ass and nothing gets done, and it just seems like it might be fun for you, but it just seems distracting for me. I did get high once with my first experience with marijuana, and that was a lot of fun, I have to admit.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I had art commissions to do that day. So I did regret taking it after the fact, but I wouldn't mind doing it if I had a day off.
I do not have the constitution anymore for drugs. So when I was a kid, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, I used to get stoned all the time.
Yeah.
I admit it. I was not necessarily a major pothead, really, but I used to smoke weed all the time, and I've done acid more than once. More than the...
When they said shake and bake, you took the chicken out of the oven and you just shoved it up your nose?
No. But LSD was, more than enough times to make me legally insane or whatever. But, that's all bullshit anyway. You don't really go crazy.
Right.
But it's been at least, well, actually, now that marijuana is legal, I kind of have a lot of it. Because it's legal, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you where I got it from, but I have a shitload of it. So
okay, we'll talk about it after the show.
But I don't.
Over.
What's funny is I can't smoke it anymore. I can't handle it. The smoke. So occasionally we'll make edibles out of it, and do it that way, which is a lot more. It's like it's a lot more intense than smoking, but takes a little while for it to kick in, and you can control it a lot better too. You can put less in there, but to be honest, it's been like probably 4 months since I've even done that. Like I don't, it's funny because it's like we're living in the golden age of like drug legalization, and now I'm like too old to enjoy it. Kind of sucks. I kind of wish this happened 20 years ago, but then again, if it happened 20 years ago, I'd probably be a total stoner at this point.
Oh god, yeah.
I'd probably like be living with my mom and shit. Like
barely. Yeah, you would ended up like a lot of the comic book artists I knew back when I was a teenager.
Yeah, I'd be like a super stoner, and so I'm kind of glad it didn't happen. Like now I'm like too old and responsible to actually like partake.
Yeah.
I have not done LSD since I think
The Wizard Convention in '94?
No.
Oh.
I think I was 19
Okay.
the last time I did LSD. So this is like fucking the 90s. You know, I don't even think I could handle LSD now. I think it would fuck me up so bad that I would probably just lose my mind. Like, if you've never done it, anybody at home, LSD is awesome. Don't get me wrong, I loved it, but it's intense. I guess it depends on how good of a, you know.
Yeah.
It's intense, but it's something that you don't want to mess around with.
Yeah.
Like,
Especially, and from I never tried LSD, but talking to some intelligent people who have, they say, if you take LSD, make damn sure you're with the right people.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't be with people you know who've screwed you over or played jokes on you, because they're the last people you want around when you're going crazy and fighting the golden chicken monster from Galra.
Yeah, you want to be in a good environment, a place where you don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like, the last time I ever tripped, here, let me tell this story before we move on. Okay. The last time I did it, I was 19, right? And I was at a coffee shop, because back in the 90s, before Starbucks came around, this is how long ago this was, folks. Coffee shops were like a big thing back in the 90s. And so there was a place that used to stay open till 4 in the morning, right?
Right.
So when you do, so acid lasts like a number of hours. You know, like you'll take it, and after about 90 minutes you'll peak, and then it'll come down, and depending on how much you take and how intense it is, it can last anywhere from, you know, an hour and a half to 3 or 4 hours, right? So we took it, and it was maybe 11:30, and this place stayed open till 4 a.m., so I figured we got plenty of time to chill in there.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was cool, and while I was, you know, while I was frying, everything was great. You know, like, you see funny visuals, and I was talking to people and shit like that, and we just hung out in this coffee shop, right? And I'm with my friend. And so I'm 19, I didn't have a car, I didn't have a lot of money, right? My friend had the bus money. He was supposed to be able to take us home, right? And this place was about roughly 15 miles from where my house was at the time. So we get out, the place closes, you know? It's 4 a.m., we're leaving, and the acid is essentially worn off.
Yeah.
After you come down, you feel like shit. At least I always did. I always felt fucking horrible. You're tired, right? You just want to go to sleep, right? And also keep in mind, so I was 19, I used to smoke too. So you smoke like a chain as well when you're dosing. So I ran out of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Right? So I felt like shit. I didn't have any cigarettes left. I'm stuck way out in the middle of fucking nowhere with nothing but a skateboard. And I'm like, okay, time to get on the bus. And my friend, his name was Bobby. You know, I'm like, hey, Bobby, all right, dude, you know, where's the bus? You know, let's get on the bus. And he was like, oh, I don't have any money. I'm like, dude, you had the bus money. What are you talking about? And he's like, oh, I don't know. He spent it. I'm like, well, great. And we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. He's like, well, just call somebody. And this is before cell phones, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't have a quarter. And I'm like, I can't call my house and wake my fucking parents up and be like, hey, pick me up in the middle of nowhere. I just got finished taking acid. Fuck no. My dad was a cop, by the way. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, we can't call my parents. Call your fucking parents, right?
Yeah. Was Bobby spawned from a parentless tree of stupidity? What's going on here?
Well, this is just what happens when you do drugs, kids. Right?
You do stupid shit.
Exactly. So we're stuck in the middle of nowhere with no money, no cigarettes. I feel like shit. At some point, I must have been rolling around in the gutter because I had all of this filth all over me. I don't even know what happened. I just looked at my shirt, and there was just shit all over me. Like, what, did I spill coffee on myself? I couldn't remember. It was like, and it wasn't just like liquid. It was like mud or something.
Yeah,
was I like rolling around in the fucking mud?
Ugh.
So that was nasty. So we just start walking, right? And I actually had a skateboard. So we're like riding our skateboards, right? And I'm like, dude, it's going to take us forever to ride like, 15 miles and shit. But we start doing it because what are you going to do? Like, we're just stuck out there, right? So 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., the sun comes up. I'm exhausted. Eventually we fucking like, my board, like, it like broke.
Yeah.
Because I was pissed. So, like, I, like, kick it, and a fucking car runs over it, breaks my board in half, so now I'm walking.
Oh my God.
It was a piece of shit skateboard anyway.
Uh-huh.
Right, so I'm walking.
From Piece of Shit Company Co.
Yeah,
right?
like, and plus I fell off it like 50 times because I felt all horrible. And so that's why I kick it into the street and it gets run over because I kept falling off it. So we got all the way down to within maybe 6 miles of my place. And by this point, it's like 11 a.m. And my friend is like, he's tired also. He's like, I'm just going to go to sleep right here. And we're outside of this apartment building, and there's like grass. And I'm like, dude, you can't just sleep on the street. What are you like, you know, you can't just sleep on the fucking sidewalk or like
move to the grass at least.
or on the grass like in front of an apartment building. Like, let's just keep walking. We're almost home. And he's like, no, I'm just gonna sleep. I'm just gonna go to sleep. And so I can't remember. I think we eventually managed to hitchhike, which is dangerous, all the way close to where my house was. And he went to his house, and I just went home. And I took a shower, even though I was fucking exhausted, and I had shit all over me, and I felt horrible.
Well,
I had to take a shower because I like had like fucking gunk or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you're covered in gunk, you should take a shower as opposed to going straight to bed, which is what I would have done.
And then I went to sleep, and then I didn't wake up until like fucking 11 o'clock at night.
Oh my goodness.
And after that, I was like, okay, I'm never doing this again. You know, and the thing was, it wasn't the actual drug trip itself, because the drug trip itself was awesome, right?
Right.
It was what happened afterwards, and that was the last time I ever did acid. I was like, okay, no more of this shit. Like, this is, and that was my mistake, was doing it way out in the middle of nowhere. Like, if I was at home in a safe place, or someplace, I mean, I would never do this stuff at my house either, because, you know, my dad was a cop, so fuck that. I'm never... You know.
Yeah, and you know those cops, they love their drugs, so you just stole your stash.
Well, no, I mean...
Yeah, I know I'm not.
I would have got my ass beat, but, you know, like, I never would do this.
So you could steal your drugs.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So that was, you know, that was my, my don't do drugs story, kids. Drugs are bad, MK. But anyway.
Yeah.
How did we get onto this subject anyway? Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about some more comments here. Video Matt presents, maybe they won't do it because it's their body, their choice. You're talking about vaccinations. You know, that is, you do have a right. You know, you don't have to justify to anybody, really, what, you know, if you don't want to do something with your body, then just don't do it. That's fine, and I can even respect that. My body, my choice. I don't want to take the vaccination just because I don't want to, and that's a legit reason. I don't feel like it is a legit reason. It's, I think, somewhat of a selfish reason, right? Because you are putting other people in danger. So I guess my response to that is just because you can do something doesn't mean it's right. Because it's legitimate and it's allowed doesn't mean it's right. And, you know, we really need to kind of think about the effect of our actions have on the rest of the world, you know. I mean, because that is, you know, it is your right to say, you know, screw you, I'm not doing it because I don't have to. That is legit. But, you know, I guess all we can really do is just encourage you to take it. You know what I mean? Encourage you to take it and not make it easy to infect other people. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, God. I think I shared my thoughts on that earlier, but...
Yeah,
no, if it was a situation where it just affected you and you alone, have at it. Smoke your heart away, do all that, but since it is affecting other people, it doesn't make the situation as black and white as many people want to make it seem. Because again, at the end of the day, we just don't want needless deaths.
Right.
And it sucks that, a lot of people probably died just because somebody was being selfish and dumb about it, so... Yeah.
It's like, you know, like there's a time and a place to make that argument. is this really the best time to be making that argument?
Yeah, especially when the killer virus itself doesn't care about arguments, period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The virus doesn't have, the Rona is apolitical.
Yeah.
It doesn't give a shit.
It's even worse. It's not even apolitical. It's nothing. It's a virus.
A virus.
It does what it does.
Yeah, it doesn't give a shit what you think about, your body.
It's like trying to discuss political theory with an incoming tidal wave. It's not
right.
going to work.
It's not going to listen to your reasoning. So, But I don't know. I guess that's still we can just encourage you. We can't force you. It's not right for the cops to put you in jail if you don't take it. It's not right for the government to fine you if you don't take it. But, we should also not be encouraging people through passing laws that accommodate them. Like laws that say that, for example, there's laws that say that a business has to serve you, if you're not vaccinated. Like a business is not allowed to force their customers to no, that's the wrong color. Force their customers to get vaccinations, right? Like say if you're a cruise line or an airport, they're not allowed to say, okay, you can't come in here if you're not vaccinated.
Yeah.
I don't think that's right. I think they should be able to have that ability. They should be able to say, hey, if you're not going to get vaccinated, you're not allowed to take this cruise.
Yeah.
Because you're putting the rest of the people in danger.
Yeah.
Right.
And also a lot of the people who are passing these laws, they've already been vaccinated and they don't give a shit about you or your life. Like they are endangering your lives and lives of others for political brownie points.
Exactly.
So they don't have your best interest in mind. So
exactly. Totally.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We're almost done.
Dynacat loves me. Anyone who says my body, my choice, damn well better not have anything to say about who can have an abortion. That's true.
Yeah, you hit it on the nail.
You hit it on the nail there.
Uh-huh.
I mean, let's apply that to other things besides vaccinations. What about we were talking about drugs. What about drug use? My body, my choice. I should be allowed to smoke weed if I want.
Yeah.
So maybe we shouldn't be throwing people in jail for, getting high. Or my body, my choice. I should be able to get transgender surgery if I want.
Yeah.
And not have to jump through 50 billion hoops, or not have to worry about what bathroom I can be in. So, let's apply it all equally, I guess.
Other than alcohol. Now, again, if it hurts other people, don't do it. And alcoholism, unfortunately, has led to a bunch of shitty crap.
But you can regulate that. The thing with alcohol is, just because it's legal doesn't mean it can't be regulated.
Yeah.
So, we can regulate all of those things I just talked about, but that doesn't mean we have to outlaw them, right? So, let's see where we at here. Dynacat, telling Shoma I have 3 cats as well, but 2 boys and 1 girl, plus 3 to 4 neighborhood ferals that like to hang out. I as well am also a cat person, but anyway, go on.
Yeah. I think Dynacat saw my recent video I posted where I just hang with 3 of the 5 cats who live with us.
Nice.
Yeah, they were all feral stray babies we found.
Oh, wow.
And we had to get them vaccinated because we knew if we didn't, we'd be stuck with more cats later down the line.
Oh, you had them all fixed?
Yes, absolutely. And if you find the right programs in Los Angeles, you can get 6 cats done. Oh, wait, we had 7 kittens. We had all of them spayed and neutered for less than $40.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but you got to find the right programs. And sadly, in Los Angeles, again, not being as progressive or as communistic as Mrs. Green likes to say it is, it's really hard to find the right programs or even up-to-date information.
Right.
But thank God we used the Stray Cat Alliance in Lomita. They are a really cool establishment, and we were able to get all of these 7 cats spayed and neutered. Out of the 7, though, only 5 stayed with us. 1 unfortunately died. Another one just disappeared and we never saw him again. But yeah, we have 5 cats at home. Princess, who is pretty much the most housebroken in the sense that she lives with us, sleeps with us, and
Right.
she's a sweetheart. Fluffy, who is a big fluffy Siamese cat. So we like to call her. We also like to call her the hippie because she's just very laid back and fun in that regard. Radar and Mohawk, the two garage cats, they almost look like identical twins, but Radar has bigger ears, and Mohawk has a little more hair on the top of his head. Mohawk has become a big sweetheart recently. He's especially adopted Mom as his favorite human. So he's even been sleeping on the floor next to her on multiple occasions. She sleeps on a bed. He sleeps on the floor. They don't sleep on the floor together.
Right.
Unfortunately, Radar, I think he's still the garage cat and the hermit. We barely see him as often as we want to. And the last cat is Uno, and she's kind of the dumb, crazy one, but we love her regardless. And it's sad too because we called her Uno because we were convinced she was going to be the indoor cat, and that position was literally stolen from Princess, who for a while we called Princess Lady Houdini because we don't know how she was able to get out of the side garden. That was the thing. When we had all 7 kittens, we turned our side garden into a big 30-foot long cage that we would go.
So you can let them run around.
Yeah, because we knew if we did, they'd probably get laid early and start having kittens when there were still kittens. So that's how bad the stray cat situation is in our neighborhood and our city in general. So yeah, we had these cats living in like a huge enclosure next to our house. It was fun because when we felt bad after a day of work, we just go into the side garden, and we had 7 wonderful kittens come and hang out with us. We had them fixed, and we let them go, but they didn't leave the yard. And thank God they became friends with our dogs.
Out at your place.
Yeah. They practically live at our house, but it's more than okay. It worked out beautifully. They have a whole giant yard to play around and 2 houses to hang on. It's like. And thank God they were instant friends with our dogs, because without our dogs, our cats would have never learned to have used the yard like a proper animal does. So,
I also have cats.
Yes, but
that's all I will go into. Thank you, Raph.
You're welcome. I'm sorry. Did I just reveal myself to be the scary cat person who once was in love with a mushroom wizard sorceress?
That's okay, dude.
Okay.
No. Anyway.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
I'm sorry about that. I like cats.
That was a very thorough explanation of your cat relationships there.
That was the condensed version. So
the condensed version.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should probably end this pretty soon here.
I'm sorry.
It's already.
Yeah. Lewis the Hedgehog does like your idea of the possible Sonic stream.
Yeah. Hey, I'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Maybe we can schedule this, dude.
Yeah, that'd be great for your other channel, since it's very video game centric.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it on UCD. Okay.
Yeah, I can even some of my friends who are not perhaps more obsessed about Sonic the Hedgehog. I'll see if they want to join if you want.
Totally.
Okay.
Okay, so this one, I think we need to end this stream. It's already kind of gone off on several different tangents.
Did I tell you about the 14 turtles we adopted too?
No, it's all right.
And the 80 ostriches?
Let's go ahead. It's already been God, this one was long. We're almost at 2 o'clock now.
Yeah,
so.
that's the unfortunate thing when you have me aboard.
No, it's cool. It's cool. The time flies.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go ahead and end this, folks. Let's take a look at where we're at here with our illustration. Kind of coming along.
Yeah.
Starting to look a little bit better. You know?
I'm loving it. It's great.
I'm rooting for the Smurfs myself. Because they're at kind of a disadvantage here.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, thank you for not having any of the Oompa Loompas eat the Smurfs. It's becoming cliche at this point.
Cannibalistic Oompa Loompas.
The giants eating little people.
Well, they wouldn't. Yeah. They would basically make them into candy first. They wouldn't eat them raw.
Okay, yeah, but no, it's everyone's everyone's ripping off Attack on Titan.
They would take them back to the chocolate factory.
Right, and
make
then
bonbons and shit out of them.
And then halfway into the massacre, like Willy Wonka and Slugworth enters. All right, boys, let's see what you're. Oh my God!
Anyway, folks. Okay. Let's go ahead and end this here, but before we do, I have to go through my usual my usual ending stuff here. So first, this here is my... Okay, wait, hang on. Let's separate that out of that. Let's bring this over here. This is my webcomic. So those of you who want to see more of my artwork, you can check me out on hawanja.com. Or sorry, this is my DeviantArt site, not my webcomic. So you can check me out here on my DeviantArt. This is our prior thing that we did in a former stream. And actually, we can show off your DeviantArt site too. So this is my friend Inshoma. This is his DeviantArt.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to see more of his artwork, he does lots of stuff with like giant monsters and things, and Godzilla and stuff, and women
babes.
Women with huge boobs. Don't forget that too.
Okay, they're not that big.
So you can check him out as well if you want to see his artwork. If you like what I do and you want to support me, you can check me out on Patreon. So I actually do have a couple patrons, which is awesome. So my rates are very, very low. Please check me out on Patreon if you like me. If you also like what I do and you don't want to do a Patreon thing, you can buy something from my Etsy shop. This is Hawanja's House of Weirdness on Etsy. And let's just copy that, paste that down here. I do prints and things. I hope all 20 of these people buy this. That would be awesome. Anyway, I do prints and stuff like that. These are 11 by 17 coffee stain prints. As you can see, this one is very popular. This is a Lovecraft character here, you know, and these are, each one comes out unique, blah, 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 you know the story. Please check me out on Etsy. If you want to see me talk about stuff that is non-political, you can see me talk about toys, video games, movies, that kind of thing, you can see me on UCD videos here.
Yeah, very fun channel. So
I'm about to do a video review of the latest Masters of the Universe Revelation show. I got that in the queue. And then also, my friend Raph here has his own YouTube channel, and you can check him out as well.
Yeah.
We do live streams. Sometimes I'll be in his live streams. Here's this one right here.
Yeah,
the stream
you want to share that
in.
one too?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, you know, I'll put a link to it.
Okay,
in the,
then yeah.
Can I actually? Yeah, I'll just save that to watch later. I'll put a link to it in the thing. Well, because if I open, it's going to start playing. Right?
Yeah. The last thing you need is to hear us.
Well, here I can just pause that. So yeah, there we go. Here's us. If you want to see us talk about make fun of Bill Cosby, which I thought was hilarious. You can see that stream that I'm in. Anyway, that's pretty much all I got, folks. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Lewis a Hedgehog. It's always great to see you. Thank you, Dynacat. It's cool. Thank you, Onward to Dystopia, for joining. Thank you, Video Matt Presents. Good to see a new face in here, man. Really appreciate it. And everybody else who joined, we will be back next week at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time next Saturday. Thank you all so much. And everybody have a good day. Adios.